the show. good with WinCam. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'll call to order the Select Board meeting for Monday, July 13th, 2026. I am Anthea Brady, Chair of the Select Board, joined by phone by Bill McGonigal, Vice Chair, and members Michael Betancourt, Michelle Pryor, and Paris Bayani. First, we'll get started. Before we go to public comment, as many people are aware, Vince Dixon, who was a bit of a staple in our Winchester government scene, a Winchester resident since 2012, a member of the Historical Society, often seen on the trolleys at Town Day giving historical tours, and a member of Finance Committee for several years, has passed away on July 11th over the weekend. So we send our best wishes to his partner Emily and his loved ones and those who know him in town, and we'd just like to take a moment of silence for Vince. So our other thing to note at the top of this meeting is that this is Paris's last meeting with the board. It's his last 14 hours with the board, I believe. Hopefully this meeting will not run for
14 hours.
14 hours. But we want to thank Paris for the time that he has been on the select board. I actually first met him around 7:30 on election night of March of 2022, and I had been standing outside in the rain holding signs all day, and he was coming in to vote. 3 years later, was pleased to see that he had decided to run for select board. And Paris, you will be missed by this board. You will be missed by the state of the town committee members, I'm sure, many other folks who you've worked with in town, and we truly appreciate your service to the town and your time on the board. Feel free not to resign. We would be happy to continue to have you here.
Thank you, Anthea. Appreciate it.
I'll just add, thank you, Paris, and let's give Bill a chance as well. It's been a pleasure working with you. We spent a lot of Friday mornings in this room last summer, so you leave us volumes and volumes of work, a really large model that we can then inherit. And thanks for all of your analysis. You know, you always got it when I was throwing out crazy ideas, so I appreciate you following the thread, and all of us, I think, learned something. So hate to see you go, but thank you.
Thanks.
It's been great.
Yeah, and I'll add to what my colleagues have said so far. It's been great to work with Paris, his insight and willingness to jump in the minute he got on the board to the most complicated problems that the town has been faced in the last generation, I would say, right? And so we couldn't get it all done because government is slower than Paris's mind, but it's really going to give us an opportunity to build on for the future to make Winchester better. And so I appreciate his work as a colleague, and I have a feeling that his phone is still going to be ringing from Winchester, even though he's just up the street a little bit. So thank you, Paris. Appreciate all your efforts. Thank you.
Yes. We'll just block any calls that start with 729.
Exactly.
All right. We will move on to public comment, and I just want to note that if there are folks here who have public comment, we will be happy to take it. For our first item, though, I know that the jumelage members and exchange students are here, so I'd like to invite them up.
John just stepped out of the conference.
Oh, John's right there. It's your turn, John.
In perfect timing.
Come on up.
The rest are just arriving. In the nick of time. Come in. Maylene, have a seat.
Hi.
As most of you probably know, for 36 years now,
Do you just want to grab a mic?
enjoyed. Have you again?
handing you a mic.
Stand near a mic,
So it
John.
can be-
so we
okay,
can all
thank
for the record,
on
please.
WinCam.
For the last 36 years, we have enjoyed, courtesy of our godmother, Judy Muggia, a relationship with Saint-Germain-en-Laye in a western and very historic suburb of Paris that at least one of our members has recently visited.
There, in May.
Michelle was just there and was received by City Council, and so we're sort of returning the favor here. Every year since, we have enjoyed the presence in July for 3 weeks of 3 university students from that town, and they take up positions here mostly in town for that duration in an attempt to improve their English and perhaps to even learn a little bit. And this year is no exception. We are happy to have 3 of Saint-Germain's finest here. This is Hubert de la Roque. Hubert, you can call him. We'll use English names for them. This is Victoire Luneau. You can call her Victoria if you want to. And Méline Boulineau. And Melanie, if you would like. Méline is working at Bookends, and they have been generous supporters of our program for many, many years. Victoire is working for Michael Day, and he has equally been a generous supporter of our what we call jumelage program, twinning program. And Hubert is working, this is a new person, or a new sponsor, which is Nouvelle Maison, of course. Céline Kimberly has graciously accepted him. And the danger there is that he will only speak in French and not in English, because there's so many French people working there. Anyway, and of course tomorrow is a kind of odd day for him because of it being the national holiday of France, simultaneously with the French quarterfinal game in the World Cup. So it's a big day for France coming up tomorrow. Anyway, Hubert and Victoire and Méline have arrived just the day before yesterday, probably still a little jet-lagged. We enjoyed a Bastille Day party at Sanborn House last night with incredibly beautiful weather. We sat out on the veranda and had a wonderful time. So that's my introduction, and so if you would like to ask any of them questions, please feel free to do so. I should add also that they have they're staying with very generous host families who have stepped forward to put them up and show them around and feed them and all of that. And one of them is here. Méline is staying with Emily Price. Where are you? There she is with 2 of her children and her husband, Chris Hohensarik. Victoire is staying with somebody much closer even than that, which is with the Betancourt family. They've stepped up to the plate here. And Kristen and Ted Fitzgerald are putting up Hubert here. So,
Thank you. Well, welcome to Winchester. I know oftentimes we have you here and ask about how your internship, your program has gone, but I think if you just want to give us a brief introduction about yourself, what you do at home, what you study, and what you're looking forward to while you're here in Winchester.
Well, so my name is Méline. I'm a French student at Sciences Po in Saint-Germain-en-Laye. And so I'm studying political science in first year, but I was studying economics at La Sorbonne the year before. And now I'm in Bookends, and it's going very well.
So I'm Victoire. I'm also a first-year student at Sciences Po Saint-Germain-en-Laye. So yeah, I study just geopolitics, history, English there. I've really enjoyed it so far. And so yes, I work at the State House of Boston with for Representative Michael Day. So today was just my very first day, but everyone has been so welcoming, friendly, and it's just so great to know more and have a better understanding of the American system, how it works, and just how it works at the Massachusetts state level. Yeah.
Okay, and so my name is Hubert. I'm 18, and so I just graduated from high school, and so now I'm moving next year for La Catholique, which is a university in the north of France, at Lille, and so I'll be studying business administration next year. Voila. And I'll be starting tomorrow at La Nouvelle Maison, which is like a grocery store, a French grocery store in Winchester.
What a day to start. What a day to start. You're going to be swamped tomorrow.
And I think Nouvelle Maison also is
Has watch
screening-
parties?
has watch parties of the games
For the game.
for everyone that wants to go there. And
Fun fact: Celine actually went to high school in San
San
Germain. Well,
No way.
Yeah, she
Which high school?
Ooh, I don't know.
I can text you, let you know.
She described where she lived. It was
Wait.
just outside the plaza
So
where the
it
market
might be
is.
International High School of.
I think it
that
was.
sounds right.
That sounds right. Exactly.
Yeah, but I heard of it actually about the games being showed at La Nouvelle Maison, because I've been to Nouvelle Maison yesterday, and I've met Philippe, which is one of the customers of the Nouvelle Maison, and so he's French actually, and so we just chatted a little bit, and so I've learned that he has been living here for like 40 years. Yeah, it feels great, like just to have this French and American side of life. And yeah, I had the opportunity also to visit the town yesterday. It's actually a really lovely little town, very cozy. I like it. But for the moment, haven't been to Boston. But I guess you have been to Boston, isn't it?
So far, it's great.
We lack a castle like you have in Saint-Germain-en-Laye.
And she did go to the Lycée.
I was there in May, the day after Memorial Day.
Did you
So-
enjoyed it?
Oh, it was lovely. My family all went. It's beautiful. Louis XIV's birthplace, if no one knew, and it's on the town seal, which was very cool. So for those of you in Boston, take advantage of some ships you can go board. They're all over the waterfront until you can board them for free after the tall ships came in on Saturday. I'm sure France has one, or
Yeah, there was
something
one.
France adjacent. So let the soccer match play out. But it's an exciting time to be in Boston anyway. Happy to have
I
you
think
here as well.
Victoire's been to the tall ships twice already in the 48 hours that she's been
Okay,
here.
so maybe not Victoire.
But we do have other things in
She's
Boston.
like enough already with the ships. So Maylene Hubert, that's for you.
I will also recommend, since you just got here, the Mamadou's Bakery, which is over this way. Is a French bakery if you need a little bit of home.
And Hubert is living almost directly across the street
Oh,
on Swan Street.
perfect.
It's a pretty cool one.
You can find some good bread there too.
Well, I'm
Any
gonna try
any
it.
questions for board members? And Bill, if you want to say any words about Paris, I forgot
I
you
know,
were there.
that's-
Roll it back.
He texted me his words. It's good.
I think Paris has heard everything I need to tell him off record. So
That's right.
Oh, there you go.
And then some things I didn't need to hear off the record. So.
On more than one occasion.
yeah, and to the students, I hope you're having a wonderful time and getting a true taste of our community. And I hope it's been welcoming. It sounds like it has certainly at least started that way. And thank you to everyone who's hosting you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here in Winchester.
I'm sorry about the heat wave.
At least we have air conditioning though in America. So.
We have some certificates for you, and we usually take a photo as well.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I might add, as a kind of codicil here, is that I met Chris Sr. At Town Day, who was making himself very available to everybody in town. And I explained about jumelage, and he said that he was still in the process of hanging pictures and decorating his office. And wouldn't it be wonderful to have a jumelage poster on his wall? So we have delivered that.
Oh, you have? Oh, very
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. All right.
Great. Okay, photo.
Patty tells us where to go and
Patty,
lines us
yeah,
up. So.
Patty's in charge.
Everybody, we usually do it together. We can do it over here. That'd be nicer. Yes.
John, you should maybe be in the picture.
Who is Patty? Is the paparazzo here?
Yes. So everybody knows the stance and angle, so I can fit them all in. So, yes.
Sardines.
Yes, so I can get everybody in the picture.
It's upside down.
That's okay, we'll share that one too. The blue, there we go. Excellent. Thank you, everybody.
How town government works, because the people in Central Mac have no idea. The city government is so different. Yeah. Yes, I'm sure. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to see you again. Sorry about the shop. We'll see you at the shop. Yeah, when we.
I was there on Saturday. So my children run us bankrupt buying cheese. Truly. Okay. Is anyone else here for public comment? Come up, Jennifer. Yep, we're ready for you.
Nice to see you in person.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bye, good evening.
Au revoir.
So, my name is Jennifer Wilson. I live at 3 Euclid Avenue. I'm speaking on my own behalf and not on behalf of any board, although I have familiarity with the topics at hand. Paris, I'll start by saying thank you for your service. It's the only time I've been at the board with you at the table at the same time, and thank you for your service and good luck in your future endeavors. And I'm sorry your chair never had an opportunity to migrate around the select board table with your tenure. I wanted to speak just very briefly about the retiree health care changes that you all have approved. I have a little history in this area, and I know how extraordinarily complicated this landscape is. Balancing the town's fiscal responsibilities with employees' ability to plan for retirement is so challenging, and I appreciate the thoughtful and very thorough work that you all have done on this front. I also know from experience that even well-intentioned benefit changes can have consequences that aren't fully apparent until employees begin making decisions. One vote that you have taken provides an incentive for some employees who may be nearing retirement to accelerate their timeline. As I had been following your deliberations, it seemed that one of your goals was to know by the end of this month of July how many employees might retire in order to lock in certain Medicare premium savings. My sense was also that you hoped to give the school department greater certainty and professional stability heading into the 2026-27 school year. On the non-school side, I would like to encourage you to make sure that you have a clear sense of the pool of individuals who might take advantage of this incentive and the impact on their respective departments, as well as on their own retirement planning. Requiring employees to decide quickly to leave their roles within a matter of a few weeks in the summertime could make orderly succession planning much more difficult for departments and create unnecessary pressure for employees as they plan for an important life transition. For example, at the Council on Aging, there's a small staff, but many serve in highly specialized or professionally trained roles where thoughtful transition planning benefits everyone. A simple solution here, if it's consistent with your prior vote and your policy goals, would be to allow employees who provide notice of retirement by a required date to establish an actual departure date later in the calendar year 2026. That may be what you already intended, and if so, I think it would be extremely helpful if you could clarify that point for employees. Finally, and I know that you all appreciate this, and this is really directed at your implementer, Mr. Town Manager. Most people, not just municipal employees, but really all of us, don't really understand our retirement benefits until we need to make decisions based on them. There is almost no downside to communicating to employees early and often, and whenever it's possible, I would urge you to describe impacts in dollars rather than in percentages, and where possible to address employees' own individual circumstances so that those communications are meaningful. So I know this is on your agenda. Sadly, I cannot stay for your deliberations because I have a family obligation, but I did want to express sincere and enthusiastic support for your work in this important area. Madam Chair, I really appreciate your willingness to amend your agenda on short notice to provide timely additional clarity to staff and to the many boards and volunteers who work alongside them. I want to thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment, and I want to thank all of you for your service to the town. Patty, can I give this to you?
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, I just want
Jennifer.
to commend you for, like a former select board member would, being really within your 3 minutes of time.
I just wanted to say, to Jennifer, I know you have to go. We won't be here for the agenda item. The work that you did with, a couple other board members in 2012, 13, 14, I think if memory serves, really served as the basis for all of the OPEB work we did. So it's, I'm sure we'll debate this and take your counsel very seriously, but just to thank you for the extraordinary work that you did 12 years ago.
Thank you. I hope that you all will get those thanks in a dozen years. Thank you all.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay, anyone else for public comment? All right. For people who are familiar with our meetings, we have our consent agenda at the top of the order today instead of at the last item. So if there are no questions on it here, we can make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Bill, did you? Thank you. All right. We'll move on to the town manager's report.
So just a couple of quick, there's no personnel at the moment. And I'll save comments on the personnel aspects of other things until later. There's a couple of projects going on that I think everyone should just be aware of. There's been some preliminary striping done both at Sims Corner and the Quill Rotary. There's some tweaks that were made at the Rotary, the Quill underneath the tracks. There'll be more permanent painting in the next week or so. They're trying to get the contractor rescheduled. And there's some preliminary work that's been at Sims. They're going to include not just striping, but there'll be some of those flexible little poles that you can run over. Hopefully people will not run them over, but they're flexible to help guide people. I think those visuals sometimes are more impactful than just paint. But both of those together will be helpful. There's an ongoing state-funded study of the Sims Corner that's just beginning, but this is we didn't want to wait. That intersection's been, I think, too much of a challenge for too long. So hopefully this interim step will help, and it'll hopefully help guide the conversations about the long-term fixes to that intersection.
I was just going to ask about Quill Rotary, unless you're going to go into it. So, and is that just a kind of a directional kind of focus there? It's
to help, I think, guide people around it a little more tightly. It's one lane. I think people sometimes make it two-ish. I think it's to make it a little bit safer and to also, there are some people, I have not seen this, but I guess sometimes people try to make lefts from Mount Vernon through that intersection. I don't.
It's a strange cycle. It's like every couple of years people start doing that again. I don't know what it is, but.
So the striping will.
I was asking.
Yeah, the striping will encouraging people to turn right. So it'll be, I think, rather obvious when it's done that you can only go right there. So we'll see how it works. I mean, it's not permanent. I mean, it can always be modified, but I think the goal is to make it just safer and flow a little bit better. So, and then the Morocco Culvert project is well underway at this point. I know no one's probably seeing any of it, but the coffer dam is being built now, and the water has to be drained down. And this is all in anticipation of work being done over the winter, where 2 whole new culverts will be built through or underneath the tracks. The current ones are going to be sleeved. That's the next project. So those will stay, and the 2 additional ones will be placed, which will improve flow. And something we learned fairly quickly, but the board learned about last meeting. Work on the Cross Street Bridge repairs will begin a week from today. The preliminary work. So there's been signs put up. There'll be more signs put up. There's been notices put out that said it's July. I'm sure there'll be people who are not aware. We're going to put more stuff on the website. We're going to ask the T for continuous conversation and continuous updates. I've asked for some photos to be taken from time to time so we can show people what's going on. But it's all safety related. There will be it'll be one lane underneath for the duration. There will be times where there'll be police details to make things faster and safer, particularly during times when the soccer club's very much in action. Also, times it'll just be the little automatic street light. So if you see it, please don't cut. Be patient. If it's later in the evening, if they are timed and they are sequenced, they will. And again, the goal of that, hopefully, that they promise that'll be done in 90 days, so which is October. Fingers crossed that'll be done earlier, but no promises. At the same time, we're looking at putting some additional signage, which we'd like the T to pay for, that will help protect the bridge, because I understand there was an accident only last week. Another truck hit the bridge, and we need to keep people from going down there and stopping them before they get there. So, and just so you're all updated, the solar array project that was approved at town meeting got its first benchmark done. The contracts are all done, and the initial payment has been made, and we've met the deadline to ensure the federal subsidies once the project is complete. So that is underway.
It's terrific news.
What's that?
I said that's terrific news.
Maybe in your next report, can you give an update on the library?
Oh, sure.
And sort of progress on that?
That is, as far as I know, right now is on target. They're running on target. The work's gone really smoothly. The roof was in better shape underneath, believe it or not, which was good. They had to do less repairs. I think they've finished almost all the roof, actually. You see the new copper on top and the new slate, and they're well underway in the windows. They've done a lot of work in the windows, so fingers crossed they'll be right on time too, but I will get an update on the timing.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Great to see
Thank
that
you.
project heading in the right direction. It's been a long time, and it was, especially with the windows, we were in very, very rough shape. So, congrats for the update.
I want to thank the town staff who's managing all that. And it's a local contractor too. I forget their name, but it's being handled. The bidder was a local contractor.
Peek out the window.
Yeah, exactly.
Figure out who they are.
So I can look at. I've been watching. It's actually cool to watch the work. So that's it.
Great. Thank you. All right, so we will move on next to board and committee and commission appointments. For those of you who are following along with our agenda, we will not be doing the audit advisory committee. There is still openings on that, however, for those who are interested in applying. We'll come back to that at another date. So we will start with the Climate Action Advisory Committee student position, and we'll have Josh come on up.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me. So my name is Josh Perez. I'm a rising junior at Winchester High School, and I'm applying to the student position on the Climate Action Advisory Committee for Winchester. And I applied for this position last year as well, and I'm back here again this year. And I've been with CAC for about the last 2 years now. While there, I've served to make sure that the interests of students at the high school, middle school, and other levels are heard from an environmental standpoint. I have also helped act as a liaison between the committee and the Food Waste Composting Initiative, which I helped found in 2025 at the high school. I regularly brief the committee on the activities of the composting initiative, and I would like to talk a bit more about that composting initiative, because not only do we help the town from environmentally sustainable standpoints, I'm sure you all know how important composting is to our environments, and especially to Winchester, given our proximity to the Fells Reservation, to the Mystic Lakes, but it also helps our town from a financial, monetary perspective. As I'm not sure for the exact numbers, but I'm certain that composting solid waste is far, far cheaper than incinerating it per ton. And beyond this, we've also fostered a very close-knit community at the high school of volunteer monitors who help by spending their lunches to remind students of which items are compostable, which belong in the trash, which belong in the recycling. That's been going on for the last 2 years now, and we've gotten a group of around 15 to 25 people in all. They're a great bunch of kids, and I believe that we're helping the school and the community as an extension think much more sustainably, and we're gearing the new generation up to be much more environmentally active.
Thank you, Josh. I'll ask if the board has any questions for you.
Just want to say thank you for staying involved and coming back. We appreciate it. And I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
What do you think that we can do better at the high school on the composting side, and maybe even talk about improvements that you've seen there, if we've made some?
Oh yeah, of course. Well, there can be many improvements because nothing's ever perfect, and I believe that the biggest area that we can improve at the high school in terms of composting is really just getting the word out. We've made many attempts to work with the, admin at the high school, and they've been very receptive of our attempts. They've let us put up many posters. They let us last year put up a video that played, I believe, for 4 months straight in the cafeteria area for all the students to see about composting and how to properly compost. Although I do wish that they would help promote our partnership with Black Earth Compost, which is the company that we use that delivers all our compost to the transfer station, some more, because it is a wonderful, phenomenal company. I have been around to several neighborhoods on various, excursions, and I've seen many people use Black Earth Compost at their own homes. I believe I remember some in Salem, in Burlington, other towns and cities around Massachusetts use Black Earth Compost. So it's by no means a small company. I think they're very well established, and I believe that it would be a great help to educate the students on Black Earth Compost, make it known to them, and so maybe they can then go to their parents or guardians and encourage them to partner with Black Earth Compost, because not only will they get a steady stream of compost for their gardens, for their yards, for whatever they may need it for, but they will also help the environment as a whole, because every action, no matter how small in terms of composting, is very, very meaningful to the environments, to the flora and fauna that live in and around Winchester.
Thanks, Josh. Anyone else have questions for Josh?
No, just thank you for volunteering and staying involved. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bill, any questions?
No.
I also, one thing you didn't mention, Josh, is I see you often sitting over here. So
Yes.
Josh is also an intern this summer with the town manager's office and has been doing a lot of work for the town. So.
Thanks.
All right. Someone want to make a motion?
Move that we appoint Josh Perez to the seat on the Climate Action Advisory Committee expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Thank you.
If I could say just one more thing, we put this student position in a few years ago. I don't remember when we started doing it, but there was a lot of reluctance to do it, to get students and pressuring them to be involved with things that are in local government, and it's just been so refreshing to have you involved and to really be perfect for what we need, and hopefully encourage more kids to get involved with what we do, because your voice is important to us and your work has been excellent. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Chris or Patty, if you know, some of our positions are just sort of general residents. Some might be voting residents. If things that don't specify a voting resident, are those technically also open to students?
That is a good question. I know that what we've done is, like a cultural council is a student position, and that CAP has a student position. I think if it's not a voting person, that's something that I would have to confirm with the town clerk.
Okay. Might be interesting to know, because I know we have many students who are very interested in some of the student positions that we post, and don't want to discourage, if there are non-student positions, from being able to be involved. All right. Just quickly, next on our agenda is reappointment for 2 positions on the Field Management Committee for Michael Crean and Lex DiMatteo. Does anyone have questions on those, or would like to make?
I'll move that we appoint incumbents Michael Crean and Lex Giamateo, reappointment for terms expiring on July 1, 2028. And I'll say I know Anthea worked in the Field Management Committee as well, and the committee and a lot of progress that we've made would not have been achieved without these two volunteers. So I'm glad to see that they haven't reached our limit of consecutive appointments yet and can be there in the future. So thank you.
So to be fair,
Yep.
it was waived last year.
Oh, it was.
So what we found 2 years ago, and what we found out in reading the field management charter, these positions are actually only 2 years, which is why they're back sooner than they should have been.
Oh, okay.
So what did we waive? I'll second the motion, or you can second the motion, but what did we waive? That they can't have 3 terms, or they can't have three-year terms? How many terms are?
So it's 3 3-year terms. Well, it's actually 3
Or 3 consecutive terms.
3 consecutive
Right.
terms. And when they come up to be reappointed, then what you do is, the way the policy is written, they are asked to wait a year to
Right.
come back, and what you did is you waived that year.
The select board policy one is written as 3 terms, but I think that assumes 9 years.
Yep.
So the spirit of the policy would be 4 for this group, right?
And how many terms have Michael and Lex served? Or this would be their what term on field management? Do we know?
This would technically be the fifth.
So this, like, the problem is it's 9 years is the
Right.
policy, right? So they're at 8 going to
8
10.
going to 10.
So you kind of have to make a different choice for this one very unusual committee.
And what we had done
I don't
was,
see other applicants either.
There's no other applicants, yeah.
I had, since I gotten full applications from them the last time around.
Yep.
Yeah, so the policy is if there's somebody
Else.
that applies, then they have to step aside.
Exactly.
But seeing as no one did,
So-
Correct.
we're okay.
No one keeps coming. No one knew.
They are formidable to apply against, I think,
They are.
is that's what happens. So I think motion's made and seconded by Michelle.
So, yeah, it is. And you guys will just vote right now. But the Field Management Committee is a 1993 creation of the Select Board. It's not a town meeting bylaw committee. So you could tweak it to 3 years and just cure that problem going forward.
No. Thank you for looking at that.
Happy to.
All right. Any further discussion?
No.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bill, was that an aye or a
You
nay?
voted no.
That's an aye, but I think the policy says we have to make a finding that there's no other qualified candidate in front of us right now, which is the reason why we are waiving 1 year. So that should be part of the motion or a separate motion on top of it.
Friendly amendment, Mike?
Okay.
Okay.
Seconded.
To the friendly amendment. All those in favor of the amended motion?
Aye.
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 All right. I'm going to remember not to say anything this quick because that was not quick. Okay. Long-term financial plan committee. So we have 2 applicants for 3 seats. We have Katie Hammer and Ann Anderson. You want to come on up? Well, you can come up
come
as well.
together.
Feel free to grab a seat and a microphone. And please introduce yourself, your name, your address, why you're interested in the committee, and any information around your background. That's helpful for us.
Ladies first.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Katie Hammer. I live at 48 Ledyard in Winchester. And I am excited to join the committee. This will be, I hope, a great opportunity for me to volunteer for the town, to bring some of my background and skills to contribute to the town. I have recently started to get up to speed on, or started to learn more about town finances. I have a background. I am the Vice President for Finance at MIT. I was previously the Deputy CFO for the City of Detroit, the Budget Director for the City of Boston, and prior to that worked for Administration and Finance at the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So I bring a long experience in municipal finance and would love to just have an opportunity to contribute to the town. I have 2 kids in the public school system. We've been here 5 years, and as I learn more and more, I love Winchester more and more, and would just love to make sure that we can have an affordable place for people to live with enough, with a budget that can support the services we need. So I think this long-term planning committee really provides an opportunity to give us a long-term view.
Great. Thank you. Questions from the board for Katie?
I'll ask one. So maybe taking Detroit as an example.
Yeah.
What were some things that you did in that role that you think have sort of been sustained beyond your departure? I don't know if you tackled a pension shortfall. You had certainly shrinking property tax rates.
Yeah. So I came to the
So
city
something
of,
you're proud of.
right. I mean, so I came to the city of Detroit at a really amazing time to be there. The city had exited bankruptcy and was rebuilding city services and city finances, and we were able to, provide a balanced budget year after year. We were able to help the city leave financial oversight, and we were able to start rebuilding city neighborhoods, providing. One of the, it's really hard to kind of explain the city of Detroit sitting in the city of Winchester, but there's some of the commercial corridors have a lot of blight, that's a major challenge for the city of Detroit. So figuring out how to deal with blight in a financially sustainable way was a challenge that we dealt with. I was there during the pandemic as well. And so we had, overnight, we lost casino revenue, which was a major challenge for the city because if people can't leave their houses, they can't go to the casino. And so we had to the city of Detroit was not in a position to be able to fill that budget gap. We had to very quickly determine how we were going to deal with that. And I put together a plan that was both kind of fair for employees and dealt with the city's finances. So that kind of getting through that immediate challenge was a huge thing. We also brought, I was part of the team that brought a Jeep assembly plant to the city of Detroit that allowed us to bring jobs to city employees and increase income tax. These are examples of things. They're not a particular problem. The issues of the city of Winchester or the town of Winchester are a little bit different than the city of Detroit. But those are a few examples of some of the things I worked on while I was there.
That's great. Thank you.
Great.
Thanks, Katie. Good to see you, and Ian as well. It's fair to say I think you're a wildly, qualified, overqualified candidate for this. So, thank you for applying, and Ian, I know you bring a lot of terrific qualifications as well. So I have a very narrow, very simple question for you. So, if you were doing a compound annual growth rate calculation from, say, 2022 to 2025, in the denominator of the exponent, would you put a 3 or a 2? From 2022
yes,
to 2025.
Thank you. 3.
3. What do you think, say?
So you go 2.5. Yeah, take the average.
I think these are very qualified candidates, Michelle.
I mean, I think there's a right answer.
I would have said 5, so.
The school committee's got a spot.
Mike or Bill, any questions?
No, it's just.
Bill, anything?
I kind of want Iris to explain that joke, but I also don't.
It was for Michelle's benefit and Stephanie's, sort of.
No one knew there was a test coming for you. There you go.
Yeah. One question that I have with your background that's very much in large operating budgets, right?
Yeah.
Like large cities. There are levers you can pull in large cities that might be a small thing, but increases revenue quite a bit. In Winchester, small things often are also small revenues. What would be your approach to looking at that type of thing? That's a smaller scale to some of the budgets that and finances that you've been involved with.
Yeah, great question. I would just say, looking, for example, at the city of Boston, which is, we were on a position-by-position budgeting basis. We were, even though it's a much bigger city, we were at a very specific. In fact, we were at the place where the CFO, the budget director, and the HR director had to each approve each position, each backfill, that sort of thing. That was the level of detail that we were at in order to make sure that we were controlling growth in expenses. So very much appreciate exactly what you're saying. I think, one of the challenges that a town only has so many revenue streams that it can really deal with. It is extremely constrained, especially by Proposition 2.5. And so I think the town has, what we're hoping to do is really look at, of course, the biggest revenue streams, which is property tax, how we're projecting that. And then are there some additional smaller things that can be done? I know the state of the town looked at some of these examples. There's only, again, because the town is so constrained, there's only so much you can do. We can look at these examples. I think we should also look at, expenses and expense growth and some of the different, all of the different components that we have.
Thank you. All right.
Great.
Ian, you're up.
All right. My name is Ian Anderson. I live on 6 Bruce Road, so I'm very, very happy about the Sims Corner rotary redo. I've dodged that too many times over my life. I have 2 kids at Ambrose. My wife is on the Ambrose PTO. I've been here since 2014. I currently am a portfolio manager of fixed income at Lumen Sales. I run about $25 billion. Ironically, one of our main customers is Prim. So in a way, we actually help manage maybe $5 million of Winchester's pension funds. So we're always looking out for our best interests there. I think what I bring to the table is kind of an interesting portfolio management look at. Our firm does buy municipal debt, so we're constantly looking at the qualifications of the municipal landscape and how that goes through. Certainly, Winchester maintaining its AAA rating can be quite advantageous to tapping the funding market. Obviously, as I've seen from FinCom, if you lose that rating, your borrowing costs can go up by 0.25 to 0.5%. We have $200 million of debt outstanding. Obviously, that would only apply to new debt going forward, but that can raise a lot of incremental costs going forward. I think if there was one area to raise revenue, one thing I'm very vigilant about is that there's the potential of the sunsetting of the municipal tax benefit for individuals. So if you buy a muni bond right now, the reason why the rates are below Treasury rates is people can deduct that on their federal taxes. That does cost the U.S. Treasury around $50 billion a year. And there's certainly more talk around with the ballooning fiscal deficits in D.C. that we may see that possible elimination of that benefit, which would really hurt places like Winchester. So on new debt going forward, you could potentially see an increase in funding costs of 1 to 1.25% at the most extreme. So my kind of best advice here would be we enjoy very, very below Treasury market rates. Definitely try and borrow as much as you can now to lock in the lower rates. Obviously, from a pure financial perspective, that's good. There may be other operational or other constraints that fit in. Certainly, we have some wiggle room with Moody's to potentially issue more debt. We can fund our employee healthcare system and potentially increase the, I know you've looked increasing the investment opportunity set for that trust. So there's a lot of small incremental ways you can really add revenue to the overall town budget. But again, the overrides are going to be the major key. So what I bring to the table also is I love doing scenario analysis. Every day at work, I run through different scenarios. So you can run through a really good case, neutral case, bearish case. So on this committee, we can do different scenarios, probability weighted. We can do a scenario to maintain our AAA credit rating, et cetera. It gives you a good sense of the bounds of what you're looking at going forward. So I think, to be quite candid, it's going to be quite a challenging few years based upon the cost curve. As obviously we've mentioned, Prop 2.5 growing at 2.5% per year plus 0.5% of new growth. So that's 3% of the revenue. But then we have the cost curve of 7 to 8%. We have $50 million of physical infrastructure. We have Morocco coming on board. So it's going to be some very interesting times to really balance the books and figure out what do the voters want.
Thank you. Questions, Paris? Trick questions?
I asked my main question already. It's interesting. So you actually think the town should potentially get more aggressive with debt issuance? I don't know if you were referring to like a POB for OPEB. You had that. Maybe that's what you're talking about. Do you think that can be done with our, to the extent you know this, within our existing funds? Like, for example, we had bonded out our stabilization funds historically.
Right.
That debt has come off, and now we're doing more pay as you go from them. Or are you saying, maybe we go out and exclude more debt via, a Prop 2.5 exclusion? So we should issue debt, but not use our existing capacity. Just wondering how you think about it.
Yeah.
The town's been hesitant. The reason I ask is we've been hesitant to use existing operating budget and stabilization fund capacity to bond against, because then you lose that capacity, as opposed to going and doing it around the current levy.
Yeah, I think it's all about the rate of return you can borrow it at and what term you're going to borrow at as well. So the extent you can
25 usually.
Yeah, so if you can do sinking fund type, I would definitely borrow against that. And but then what do you do with the proceeds too? So if you fund the healthcare, what do you do? You can almost have a fund of arbitrage where if you're borrowing at 2%, you can invest in U.S. Treasuries at 3 to 4%, capture the spread. U.S. Treasuries, I hope, are still, money good according to Massachusetts state regulations. And there are other ways too. You can enhance. Obviously, we have a large cash reserve. Our enemy is obviously inflation. So inflation is eating away. One thing to do with our cash reserves is buy Treasury inflation-protected securities. So those are U.S. government guaranteed. Inflation goes up, those securities also go up, so you can maintain your purchasing power going forward. So there's a lot of little small maneuvers you can do to get extra yield into the portfolio.
Good. We do use a lot of tips in the stabilization funds. You're right. We could take more duration risk and get another 100 basis points or so. Anyway, great thinking. Love it.
And I think depending on how we borrow, in terms of that debt, we need to be careful. Certain arbitrage rules we can, and others we cannot play with in terms of debt exclusion votes and other things. We cannot be holding onto the proceeds for too long or reinvesting.
Right.
Because voters approved certain time-limited things. So interesting concept. We have to play within the rules that we've got. But
depends on the language of the exclusion.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe gets you a couple $100,000 a year, but we're looking at staggering numbers.
Yep. Mike, I think you had a question. I think I just cut you off there.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to say thank you both. You're obviously enormously qualified to advise the town on our long-term financial plan, and very high risk to volunteer in Winchester when it says for an indefinite term.
I was hoping you wouldn't note that.
There's a lot of things that you can worry about, but that's probably the big one in town. But and I don't know if maybe you could just share with us any concerns that you have around conflict of interest or anything like that with what you would be advising us in long-term financial planning based on your day jobs, either one of you, if you see any.
I know from my end, I put our 500-page compliance guideline through ChatGPT or whatever AI system and talk to our compliance department. No problems on my end. So as long as we're not making any actual explicit funding decisions, perfectly good.
Okay.
And I don't have any.
You don't? Okay, great. Thank you.
Bill, any questions?
Nope. These guys, their resumes speak for themselves.
Great. All right. Thank you. Yes. An indefinite term. So this is a new committee. It's not a committee that we've created that has appointments that have been made and are rotating. So that's also, we're happy to keep you forever, but we'll work that out so that gets sorted out as the committee actually is stood up and figures out their operations.
Yeah, I would anticipate if it persists or if it turns over to committee, it's committee of the select board now, if it becomes a committee of the town manager, I could envision staggering terms in a year or two. I think we have to find our footing first. And then you could raise your hand or arm wrestle who wants to step down first. But I think for now, we need folks for a year or two at least to, build a structure. But indefinite term, totally. I'm with you all. You've signed your lives away.
Happy to go through the model with both of you as soon as you're ready.
It's the long-term financial plan committee's long-term appointment.
Yeah.
All right. Would someone like
I'll make a motion to approve both Katie Hammer and Ian Anderson to the Long-Term Financial Planning Committee for an indefinite term.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you both for applying. Look forward to working with you.
Do a Monte Carlo simulation.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
And so next we have the Middlesex Canal Commission. So come up. We just give one of you.
What?
So, great, because we are reappointing.
No.
Here is not here. It's actually Ian's sorry. Bill is going to be appointed as the regular member, and Peter is to be appointed as the alternate. But he'll explain.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
For an indefinite term? Just kidding.
I think this one's limited. So I'm Bill Swanton. I live at 11 Cambridge Street. I'm a 35-year resident of the town. I actually learned about the Middlesex Canal from Tom Rayfield, who was the original commissioner from Winchester. Back when I lived in Arlington, he gave us a talk over at the Arlington Historical Society. And so I've had all the books and all the maps and things since about 40 years ago. I work with Peter Engeldrum. Right now we're working to try to put together a film about the Middlesex Canal. Oops, excuse me.
Is that Peter?
No, that's telling me to take my medicine. So we're working on a film about the Middlesex Canal in Winchester, and so that's stumbling along as we're going things, but we're acquiring quite a bit of research material on some very specific things that happened in town, and trying to sort through some historical information about it. But anyway, Peter became the commissioner when Tom died. And I had actually expressed a little bit of interest there, and then I found out Peter had done it, so that's great. But Peter would like to step aside now and become the alternate, so I said I would apply to become the commissioner. I have been to the last two formal meetings and one that didn't have a quorum of the commission. So there's not a whole lot happening, but maybe getting interesting because of some of the issues about the pond at the top of in Billerica that are working the way through some legal issues and things like that right now.
Questions from the board?
I don't know that I have questions, Bill. I know you from a few other roles, but if you're ever looking for some missing granite chunks, they're in the town forest on the Briarwood Lane side.
We have film of
Sign
that.
there.
We have film of that. We also have film of where
Seems a little off the path of where the canal was, but get a little bit.
There's a whole discussion of that. It actually, the canal sold the aqueduct down by the boat club to Shepherd Brooks, and that was his land. And some of those, they demolished portions of the aqueduct, and those things ended up on his land up in the town forest. And some of them also ended up in, retaining walls in people's driveways and a whole variety of other things up there. Some in the town, some of the down at the cemetery too.
Yeah, for sure.
Other questions?
I think it's interesting. Yeah. Look forward to the movie.
I move to appoint Peter Engeldrum and Bill Swanton to terms on the Middlesex Canal Commission, ending July 1st, 2028.
And can we just specify that Peter Engeldrum will be the alternate?
Yes. And with Peter Engeldrum as the alternate. Yeah.
Second.
Okay. Further discussion? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing it.
All right. Christina, come on up. We are going to move into our business. So starting with WCCP, and we had a discussion last week around, or at our last meeting around the WCCP applications, those that pertained to town-owned land or properties, and how we would address kind of providing a letter of care and control. At that time, we had some further discussion around what is the process as envisioned by the WCCP, and where do you envision the town manager's office and the select board coming into that process with necessary approvals, and then sort of given the letter that we provided to you as well, like, does that meet the needs of WCCP, or is there something?
Bill got dropped.
Oh, Bill got dropped. Oh, we'll get Bill back in the line.
Unless he wanted to be dropped.
He did text me saying I got dropped.
Or, is there something other that you all were looking for? And so how can we kind of help you facilitate the process with applicants? And sort of, we both don't want to be, hey Bill.
Thank you.
We don't want to be the long pole in this situation, but we also don't, we don't want to hold anything up, but we also don't want to just be a bureaucracy. So.
Understood. So with the caveat, and hi everyone, Christina Marshall, Chair of WCCP, for the record. With the caveat that this is our second year and our first year not doing a pilot program, I have kind of prepared some context explanation for where we're coming from with the care, custody, and control requirement in our operational model, and I think that should be helpful for everybody. So the WCCP could get applications from official town entities, the town manager, the DPW, things like that, for projects on town-owned land. Very typical. We can also get projects from applicants that have a CPA-eligible project on land that's not controlled by the town at all, like a church. That's also very typical. We haven't seen as many of those in Winchester yet, but definitely a potential path for CPA money here. In the middle, Winchester gets a lot of applications from volunteer organizations who are proposing to do work on town-owned land. That is not normal for CPA money. This is, don't laugh. This is kind of what.
We're not normal.
We're not normal. We are special. This sets Winchester apart, I think, from a lot of other towns. We have a lot of volunteer groups that do a lot of work on town-owned property. It's partly because we don't have a parks department. Our school PTAs are super active, and it's partly just because we have really great volunteers in town who are willing to do this type of work, which you don't see in a lot of towns. So it's great, but I think it requires us to deal with the CPA in Winchester a little bit, not necessarily differently, but kind of impose some procedural guidelines on applications before the WCCP considers them. So that's why pretty much any town will have a care, custody, and control requirement for CPA applications. That's very typical. But it's important here, where we're getting a lot of volunteer applications for projects on town-owned land. We could have required that those kinds of projects be co-sponsored by the care, custody, and control entities, but we decided not to do that. Instead, we decided to say you could either have it co-sponsored or you need the approval of the CCC entity. So that's kind of the context of where the requirement comes from, and from that context, I think the comments that I have on the motion from a couple of weeks ago are that what we need to know is, does the select board really think these projects are a good idea? And do they support them? We're not asking for the select board to do the same level of analysis and vetting that the WCCP is going to do. And just because the select board says they like something doesn't mean this WCCP is going to improve it. But we do need to know that at the end of the day, if we go to town meeting and ask town meeting to appropriate money for a project, that the entity with the care, custody, and control, here the select board, is going to allow that to happen, is going to think that that's a good idea and kind of allow that money to be placed into the stream for that project. So I'll pause there and answer any questions that folks have.
I have questions unrelated to care, custody, and control, so I'll just wait.
I guess if there's a town-owned asset that's under the control of the select board, and the select board or the town departments that work with it, so DPW, RAC, you know whatever else, probably mostly those two, and engineering, I guess, have concerns. They do it differently. If it was their project, they would bring it a different way. They would prioritize different parts of it. Is it that, which is basically like, if we were submitting this as a capital proposal, it would look different than the CPA proposal. In that case, what should, this board do, or the school committee?
I think that that's more of a question for how the select board wants to run the applications than it is from this WCCP's perspective. And so I would put that question back to the select board. Okay. But ultimately, I think the way this usually works is that town manager's office or other entities like the ones you just listed are the ones coming up with these projects and kind of working with the town manager and the select board before submitting them to try to get to a place.
So to be closest, you're pointing out something important, which is like in peer communities doesn't really happen, because the idea of nonprofits working on town assets is very unusual. We discovered this, the two of us and Michelle and Beth and others last summer for the Beauregard, right, where we had to write a complicated protocol around this. So now we have a lot more of that going on, right? And so in that case, it would make, I guess this is not a comment to you, it's more a comment to the board. It would make sense that if, for example, RAC wanted to fix a park in a certain way and had been talking about that with the capital planning committee or the fields management committee, that a nonprofit CPA application for that same asset should be consistent with town hall's vision for that asset.
Exactly. And we don't have, we're the WCCP, so I'm pretty aware of what's going on in town, but we don't have the same representation and insight into town priorities as the select board does, or as the care, custody, and control entity has. So we can accept an application from anybody. We don't know what's important to the town and important to the entity that controls that property. And so the CCC letter is designed to kind of help us figure that out.
So, go ahead, Cynthia. Go ahead.
Well, so I think that there's a challenge there in that I'm just looking at, the entities that we talked about last time. So Friends of WinRac for the Leonard Pavilion, Winchester Recreation, DPW, right? Those are two departments within the town. Permanent Street Tree Committee, it's a town committee, but then we have three other groups that are not town committees. So, where I wonder is like those three that are WinRac, DPW, Permanent Street Tree, should probably have one process where it says DPW is putting this forward and we want this, and this is a project, we've talked about it with the town manager, we need the select board to give the okay, versus something like, I'll pick on Friends of WinRac because I walk past the Leonard Field every morning. Whereas I think, while that is stemming off of a public project that came up, then they might be partnering with the rec on that. They're kind of taking the lead as a non-town entity, so maybe their process is a little bit different in needing to get some further vetting, appropriateness by having another town department aware, sign off, write a letter. The letter comes from the town department to us. I think there just should be, and maybe we can work on like a checklist or a diagram that shows what needs to happen for different types of organizations applying, because I think these 6 are not all the same types of organizations, and they probably came with some different levels of backgrounds, and we didn't really have it on our plate that we were then, in a sense, vetting these applications. We were more saying, okay, if the application is approved, then you can do this on our land, versus looking at it with Michelle, I kind of jumped on you, but Horace, you also said.
Mine's is more related to this, if that's okay. It's a quick
go
one.
ahead.
So
That's one of the
I would
points I was gonna make, so.
strongly recommend that and it's funny you said the word like diagram of how volunteers work with, like, this is like deja vu from last summer, right, where we like wrote the whole process, and then David Miller's like, I want a diagram, and then he ran it through ChatGPT, and then it created a diagram of this. So a lot of this work has been thought through. It just needs to like actually find its way into the process of, I'm just going to say the Select Board, School Committee, and WCCP, because between those two entities, they control the vast majority of the assets, the Select Board and the School Committee. And I think that, like, probably you, Michelle, you're the rep, right? And then I guess School Committee doesn't have a rep, but I know Stephanie's Capital's rep, right? So
We always have a rep.
Yeah, you always have a rep. So like a small group to just work through how this actually works into the annual process with town manager, I think would be really valuable, because it's like a lot of the ingredients are there, but it hasn't fully got there. And I think you're right, Anthea, like there's a range of things, right? So there's things that the town like wants to do, right? Last year we had like Lincoln Chiller and Beauregard Beach and 160 Forest, which this board like strongly supported. The opposite extreme is like the Carriage House, right? Where like School Committee tried to demolish the building with our support very recently, and then they're being asked to support a CPA application for it, right? So like that's like pretty easy to say no to, right? Because it's so far from that committee's desired outcome. The middle is all these other things, right? Where somebody comes forward with a CPA application for Leonard Pavilion, and like their vision for it sort of is consistent. It's not like broadly inconsistent with the towns, but it's not what REC and DPW would prioritize, right? And I think we're seeing that a lot right now. It's like, okay, they want to fix the dugouts, but if you gave Nick at REC a choice, he would fix something else, right? And so that, I think, is where we really have to do a lot more vetting, is that middle ground, right? Carriage House is easy, right? And in some ways, like 160 Forest is easy. Like those are no and yes. It's that giant middle ground where like the visions are like not inconsistent, but they're not on top of each other either.
Yeah, and I'll just say I completely agree with both of your input on this, and in a perfect world, that's kind of how it would have worked this year. So we had done staggered deadlines. The May 15th deadline was the initial application deadline. We said town-sponsored entities can kind of skip that and go straight to June 15th. Under the model that we have, everybody is supposed to have their care, custody, and control letter with basically their first application that they submit to the WCCP. So again, in a perfect world, those volunteer applicants come to you far in advance of that May 15th deadline. You have a chance to do this vetting. And then the town entities that don't need quite as much of that have some extra time, and we don't need to see that from them for a little bit longer. Obviously, that did not work this year because we didn't get any care, custody, and control letters from anybody by May 15th. So we had to kind of say to ourselves, that's clearly partly a messaging problem from the WCCP, and I'm taking notes today and every day about things that we can do to edit the operational model to work better for next year, but that's just kind of where we find ourselves today.
So, like, I don't remember ever having that on our agenda, care, custody, and control letters, which you expected May 15th. So I think to Paris's point, maybe we need to just unpack the operational model and look at it. Chris, I'm going to ask you, so Cohasset adopted the CPA in 2001. So for your entire time in Cohasset, it was a CPA community. How did the manager's office coordinate with your CPA committee?
my office actually staffed the equivalent committee. My assistant, my secretary was their secretary, so their agendas went through my office. And when when there were applications, the town often helped spur them for fields and recreation facilities. And we partnered with an organization, but we didn't have quite the level of, as Christina pointed out, organizations that were like leaping forward. Often we'd have to pull them along with us sometimes.
But you could pull them back, right?
Of course.
We could have in this instance pulled it back and said it's town land, no. Or you'll have to wait, or maybe we'll say to CCP they'll have it by May 30th because so you had strong coordination.
Mm-hmm. People
and
have to
you've got
clear.
experience. I mean, first year everybody was new, and the manager was on her way out the door, and you have 12 years of experience with the CPA. So I'm just wondering what lessons learned and best practices we ought to be trying on for size. Like, not everything is lift and shift, Cohasset to Winchester, but what else could we be doing? Which is not a knock on the CPA process. It's what can we learn?
Yeah.
And I'm just curious because.
So we were, the process here, I'm also just adapting to the fact the process kind of, I'm used to them running in parallel, the budget and capital process running in parallel, because they all kind of link, and everything starts in the fall and we roll right through to the spring, but it's a different establishment here, right? So we're coming out of town meeting and by the way, WCCP set up a great process, and we're coming out of town meeting, and I'm thinking about coming out of town meeting, right? And I talked to my departments. If you have a project, knew the deadlines, get it together. And the WinRec did partner. The Leonard project is a full partnership with Winchester Recreation, Friends of. Actually, Nick gave a highlight of it the other night when he presented to the joint meeting. So that was fine. I was a little surprised about the permanent tree committee, but I haven't really worked with them much, and But when I heard what they were proposing, it was very much in parallel with some work that already was done, so it kind of dovetailed. The other work was so comparatively, was the Greenway Trail. Like it was I hate to use the word innocuous. It's important, right? But it wasn't in opposition to anything the town was doing. We weren't going to fund anything. That said, if a private group wanted to encourage it, we could make it work. The Newtown field that didn't come that way. So when I did talk to Nick, it was kind of like, well, they really haven't partnered with us a lot, and I didn't want to stop anything either. I didn't want to, I talked to Nick, and Nick's like, I don't want to stop anything, but they haven't really deeply partnered. So if you were to ask me tonight of these projects, what would you say go? I'd say I'm okay with all of them. Like the Newtown field, I think this needs some more baking. I think I would rather partner more with the youth baseball softball folks to talk more about that. And I think there's bigger issues that I'm learning about the operations of that field, just the historic management of it. So I think there needs to be a little more conversation. So
it seems a little late to say in July we didn't know enough in May, and the select board never got any. We got this in our packet Monday afternoon 2 weeks ago, right? So it could be that this just plays out the way it plays out. The CCP makes their up or down vote, right? Which we can all live with. It would be weird to pick off this one. This one can't proceed, but the other ones can, even though we never heard. I still haven't seen the street tree committee one, and it didn't come to our packet, to our board at all. So I think we got some work to do to coordinate. Question for Christina: what's the current mix of projects? So you had about $600,000 in your account coming, at the end of Springtown meeting. What's the value of projects in queue under consideration right now?
I will get you the exact number. It is 1.4 million plus the request for the Forest Ridge acquisition. That's borrowing, so it wouldn't be against the amount that we have in cash for this year. Okay. And that request is 2.75 million.
And there's 600,000 in reserve, and you'll generate about another 1.8 million. So
plus the state match.
And state match, which will probably get 2.122. This kind of gets to, town hall and other opportunities. Whether the door is open or the door is shut, I feel like that's your committee's call. Do we reopen the window? But there's other potentially town partnerships or projects or priorities that, well, I mean, it's not, I mean, in theory, you could choose to fund everything because you certainly have the money to do so. But are there things that, had we been more coordinated, and I realize the timing is lousy with Springtown meeting, we're all in the middle of it.
Yeah.
But could we have been on this journey in January to be more aligned as all of these entities.
And I think this is probably a long journey for us. We are sort of setting this up as it goes and finding what works and what doesn't. And so I think for this conversation, the first thing I heard is we need to come around to like, what are we going to do moving forward on this procedural part of both, like, what do we give with a care, custody, and control letter, and what are applicants sort of informed of that they need to do, is I think like the first order of business for the next round. There's also, I mean, I think we can have you back to talk more about what projects you've gotten, what that looks like, what we might see coming forward at town meeting, and also how the select board can. The WCCP or the CPA is kind of an organic process, right? We kind of recognize a lot of times it's not going to be under the thumb of the town manager or select board or school committee, but how can we kind of help with what comes through and what might be priorities here? Sorry, Mike, and then Bill.
Thank you, Anthea. I just want to say, first of all, thank you, Christina, for your excellent work with the WCCP. I know we kind of handed over to you a very unwieldy project, and you've done a great job with it, and I know the additional committee members would agree with that as well. Just from my perspective, the part that we're struggling with is really the heart and soul of the CPA, which is the ground up from the community projects, not top down from government like it is with the capital and building stabilization funds. So it's if somebody wants to do a project, we've got to say the town also is cool with that, right? So that's the big question for us. And when we were doing a lot of the research for the CPA, this was a problem not a problem, but this was what a lot of communities were struggling with regularly as part of their process. And it seemed like it was common enough in other places that there were solutions, and I don't know if we've connected with the coalition at all about this. And I don't know if you've spoken with Stuart or Chase. We do pay to be have that service and their expertise, and we're community 200, right? So I mean, there are a lot of people that have been dealing with this question for a while, and in different ways, as Chris is saying, Cohasset, maybe it was a little bit closer to the vest, but that would be my only suggestion, is to I guess resist more of the top-down government style of resolving the problem, and maybe we can increase the communication along the way. But to your point initially, you first came in kind of a pilot process, where there was no real direction, and it's been kind of trying to evolve to meet a very pent-up demand of projects in town, right? That have high costs to them because they've been neglected for so long. So that would be. I think there are other communities that have solved this problem, and I know certainly Lexington has, and some of the other places that we spoke to. That's my only comment there.
And I think my last point. Oh, let Bill go. Yeah.
Bill, go ahead.
Sure. This is kind of tough because I'm remote, so I'm going to have a number of questions, first for Christina and then for Chris, town manager. So first off, Christina, when you mentioned in your initial presentation that there was some maybe difficulty or misunderstanding or difference of opinion in how the WCCP was interpreting our vote from the last meeting. Is the WCCP going to interpret our vote as it was laid out, I guess, I think it was the town manager's memo or proposed motion, that our vote on these projects right now has nothing to do with its merit, has nothing to do with anything. It's really just a procedural hurdle. It's, we're just helping someone check a box to move through here. Is that how your committee is receiving our message right now? This is a yes or no question because I'm remote and it's hard to do anything else.
Bill, I'm not sure if I'm fully following the question, but looking at the memo from the select board, which is just approving the filing of the applications without taking a position on the merits, I'm not seeing that as aligning with what we need from the select board for a care, custody, and control letter. Does that answer your question?
It does. So am I correct that when we are voting in favor of these projects right now, your committee is taking that as being a much more full-throated, the select board supports these projects, wants them to be successful, wants them to move forward in a very proactive fashion?
Yes, and I'll just repeat what I said before, which is that the WCCP is going to vet all the projects. We need the select board to take that vote because you have the care, custody, and control of these properties, not because we want you to supplant our role in vetting them.
Okay, I'm going to turn my questions now to Town Manager Chris. Chris, I made a big distinction last meeting, and I abstained because we put all 7 of these projects into one motion. But I made a big distinction because you had done the due diligence and you supported and you were co-sponsoring 6 of these 7 projects. Do you still support and want to see those 6 projects that you have co-sponsored move forward?
Yes.
Chris, Town Manager, on the 7th project, which is New Tile Field, as you understand it, and as I've now looked at the application more closely since I only received it right before last meeting, do you support that project moving forward right now as it has been scoped and pitched to the WCCP?
I think I'd need more information to take a position.
Well, that's a no, because if you can't say yes, it's a no to me.
Okay.
Do you have the information you need to support that petition or that application right now as it's been made?
I don't.
Okay. I stand on this specifically because of that project and everything that's just been said. Given what Christina has now explained in terms of how this vote is being interpreted, I could not abstain on that vote. I would have voted no on the New Tile Field. I would not have allowed it to be lumped in with the other ones. And so because of what I have heard tonight, because of the review I've now been able to give that application, I'm going to make a motion that the select board withdraw its support of the New Tile Field application as it currently stands.
Okay. So, Andy, do you want to entertain that motion? Where are we? If other people are going to make comments.
The motion.
Yeah, okay. So, all right. I will second it for the sake of debate. I have concerns, this goes back to the process, that if Town Hall and DPW and RAC and engineering don't support projects, or they're approaching it differently, and by the way, I'm not going to stop at New Tile. I mean, if there's concerns about other projects too, I understand there may be some concerns about the Street Tree Committee not being projects being vetted with DPW. I guess I just assumed Town Hall departments had signed off on these projects. I don't want to out anybody, but then when I get messages from folks that they hadn't seen things and they're getting copies of the applications from me, the department heads, I'm worried that that their vision for assets, it's not 1 or 2 department heads, but a few of them don't cohere with what nonprofits have put forward. The second paragraph of your application, Christina, says effectively go talk to the care and control entity in the department, right? I mean, it's literally like, thank you for applying, go talk to the department.
Yes.
And I understand no one did, or a lot of people didn't. People put in applications for doing things on parks, not 1 group, not 2 groups, maybe more than 2, and they didn't talk to us, fine. They also didn't talk to Town Hall, and that, like, they didn't talk to REC, to engineering, to DPW, to any of the bodies who would have, the special projects manager, who would have to do this work. Like, Beauregard was different, right? Beauregard, Nick was very well of it, Bob Labasi was very well of it, Meg White was very well of it, Chris, Beth and Mark were very well of it. Like, we did a lot of socialization at the staff level plus the select board. So I'm worried it's not just Newtown Field, but several of these projects just aren't ready. And I would say, imagine the school committee letting, just one example they've put forward, a volunteer, PTA put forward to put a shade structure at the Lincoln School, right? Imagine not talking to DPW and the school committee and the director of finance over there and the operations over there, and it's just going to CCP. And the school committee has no idea that somebody wants to put a shade structure at Lincoln School. They haven't talked to the principal, they haven't talked to the director of finance and operations over there. That would never happen on the school side. And I would suggest that probably should be the same here when these are select board controlled assets. So I'll second it with that comment, and which is to say I think there's a broader problem here. I don't think it's specific to Newtown Field.
And I think I'm not going to support the motion. I appreciate the opportunity to debate it, but to say if that's not ready because Chris has concerns, I think we need to understand the concerns. I think we need to see, someone just sent me a copy of the tree committee application. I don't know if that was in our packet or not, maybe it was, but if there, maybe we need a presentation, and maybe they're all currently in queue, we said they can proceed. If we're going to pull some back, I think we need to understand why. It needs to be town hall impacts, I think, or there's municipal reasons that we are the select board who employ the town manager, and the town manager runs the municipal operations. So if there's a concern, it has to be, I think, explained to us in more detail. And I don't want to make a motion tonight to just pull something back that we haven't even debated.
I completely agree with that. So the applications on the front end, frankly, were not vetted with town hall, even though that's the second paragraph. And again, we're not talking about churches and not, like, we're talking about municipal assets, right? And they were not really debated at this board. And so I agree with Michelle. I think that is the right way to have those conversations. I will say the PTO shade structure at Lincoln, they had a lot of conversations about it, including at their table.
So I think there is a distinction between, so what I've heard, and Christina, I understand you and Bill are often opposing counsel, so you might be familiar with that line of questioning you got.
To be clear, often is once, but.
Did he declare Chris hostile, though? Because that was direct examination.
So I'm just kind of checking for understanding here. We submitted a memo. In that memo, we said the approval is for the purposes of application filing only, in bold. The select board reserves the right to take a formal position on the merits of any or all of these applications at a later date.
Yes.
Christina, you then said to us, on Bill's line of questioning, that you do not feel that this letter is sufficient for care, custody, and control purposes. So I feel like I understand, Bill, where you're coming from. I feel like amending this letter, taking back our purposes of application filing only, doesn't actually give you what you need for, if we were to make this motion, it doesn't give you what you need from us for the remaining 6 anyway. And that what may be more helpful is, as Michelle suggests, we get these applications, explicitly the ones that are not co-sponsored with a town office, into the room here and get an understanding of what they are, which offices they do interact with, what the opinion is there, and then we're able to give kind of, I think, what you're looking for of, yes, the select board, as the Parks Commissioner or Streets, approves these things.
I think that sounds right. Looking at the memo, if the memo said the select board voted to approve the following applications with the WCCP, so removing the filing of, and then removed the final paragraph, that would suffice for a care, custody, and control letter. But what I think I hear you saying is that the select board feels like they need to have some more meetings with the applicants before you can get to that point.
It sounds like you're saying you don't think you have a care and control letter right now.
That's
correct. That's what she's saying.
Sorry.
So there's not even, so Bill's motion then is moot technically, because he's saying let's rescind something that is not in fact a care and control letter from your judgment.
No, it's moot to us. It's not moot to you, but.
Rescinding our vote, but frankly, the letter doesn't give them what they need anyway. So.
Mike, you had something to add.
If our,
Go ahead, Bill.
if our letter is deficient or insufficient, then we haven't done anything that needs to be rescinded. Or we're square one with all 7 projects.
Correct.
And I'll just note, we scheduled Q&A sessions with all of the applicants to try to time them in a way that accommodated the select board and the school committee. So we did a Q&A session with CPC, as Michelle knows, last week for next 2 projects from WinRec, which I think, to your point earlier today, Anthea, like those are a little bit less concerning. They're not from a volunteer board. We have LSPA next week, which is the project that you mentioned, Paras, that has the approval from the school committee already. And we also have Friends of WinRec's project, which is basically the same thing as the capitals for Leonard Pavilion. And then we delayed a Q&A session for the town hall auditorium and the public park tree canopy improvement to July 22nd. Walk and Roll and New Tile Field July 29th, and then we saved Forest Ridge and Sanborn Carriage House for last at August 5th. So I don't know how that kind of works with your existing schedule. We can try to reschedule things if you all need more time. Like we're trying to, we had a feeling this would happen, and so we tried to schedule the Q&A sessions to accommodate them as much as we could.
Smart.
So maybe sorry, Mike, maybe we can figure out of those which they've postponed beyond the 29th can come in to our meeting on the 27th.
So the Leonard Field Pavilion is a capital project application. Nick's already made it.
Yeah.
The CPC side is being led by the Friends of. So it's already a capital project application. So I don't. And the town hall auditorium doesn't reach capital threshold. It's too small. So it's not a capital application because it doesn't reach the threshold to make it a capital application. So we could schedule the others, I mean, if you'd like, for the 27th.
And then we could meet with them on the 27th and provide, would that?
Yeah, I think we would then just try to shift the tree application to the 29th and then have some further conversations probably with Chris about the town hall project and whether or not that one should maybe shift into August 5th, but otherwise we would be on track with everything else.
Sorry, Mike.
Thank you, Anthea. Just my perspective here. I mean, I'd rather see these be vetted through management first to determine viability. I don't think that they need to all come to us, and I think that kind of hurts the process because we are a player in the process as well. We are putting forward projects. Horace used the example, and maybe not making the exact point, but when you look at something like the carriage house, that we had voted to demolish essentially, and now it's back up, right? Like so. We could vote against it as well, as the application because we've got a hand in the kind of the gamesmanship there. And so the question I think on the town side is this project a viable one? Not that we like it doesn't matter whether we like it or not because that's your job, right? To say this is the best project for the money. Or we may say, like, we have other capital projects down. This is the problem that we face a lot, right? We see a lot of other capital projects down the road that we want to save money for. So these don't feel like priorities to us, but the fact that they are not priorities to us is exactly the point of the CPA, right? So I'm very concerned about our hand being too heavy in this process and really completely undermining the voters' intent, supporting the CPA from a policy level. So I'm okay if these applications come through management and come through Chris, and maybe this is what your experience somewhat has been in Cohasset, and he looks at it and says, hey, this isn't exactly what I would want, but it's not crazy. It gets a check, and that's my perspective on it. And I think it would make your process easier and wouldn't involve us getting in the way of it, So.
Like I said, I mean, I completely defer to the select board about how you get to kind of the vote that you need to get to on the applications. What I'm trying to avoid is the WCCP vetting the projects, doing Q&A sessions, doing all this work with applicants, prepping a motion for town meeting, prepping a presentation for town meeting, and then getting up on the floor of town meeting and having the select board stand up and say, under no circumstances will we ever support this project. So I think there's a lot of space in between the extreme that I just listed and possibly the other extreme.
That may happen. I mean that's the nature of the going to town meeting to get approval for funding, right? That's why
So I think we've just gotten away from our motion.
I think there's a consensus, from all 5 people on it. Go ahead, sorry, Anthony.
So, yes. So, Bill, do you want to withdraw your motion, or are you... It's on the floor. We can vote on it.
I'm not sure where we are at this point. I cannot support the new town field. If we're saying all 7 need to be vetted, I mean, I was comfortable with the town manager's vetting and recommendation on the 6 out of 7. I don't have that on the 7th, so I mean, either we're going to take these up one by one or all at the same time. So I think my motion's been seconded, and we need to decide whether or not we still support it as it is.
Okay. So, I think... I'm happy to have us vote on this motion, but I think we've gone away from it. So we can vote on the motion on the floor, which is to rescind from this letter the Winchester Youth Baseball Softball project. It's been seconded. We also have from Christina that this letter is not sufficient for what she needs from us regarding any of these projects.
And I agree with everything you said. And I think that you've heard from, I believe, all 5 members, and soon to be 4 members, that you would like to have Chris with departmental staff recommendations come back and walk through their projects. So I feel like there's a consensus.
Yeah, I mean, I would say,
but maybe not.
We don't have to put. No. I agree. I mean, and that's what I was saying before. I mean, I don't think we need to even say departmental recommendations. That's just coming from the manager. That's his job to get those. I don't think we need to go. So, management review of the requests, and if he says this is not completely insane, then it gets moves forward. I mean, I know that's not exactly the legal standard that we're probably looking for, but
well, I do think the board should articulate a standard. Is it as simple as like basic viability? Well, that's an opinion, or is it this actually is consistent with our goals for this asset, which is a higher standard, right?
So
that's for the 4 of you to say.
Okay. Bill, it's your motion. Do you want us to vote on it, or do you want to rescind it, or make a amended or different motion?
I seconded it, but I've also since observed that I'm not sure that motion is needed. I think it's a broader process, especially given that the letters are insufficient.
I feel the same way, Bill. That's why I'm asking, because I don't know what our vote on this is going to accomplish in terms of what WCCP needs.
Yeah, I can only hear half of what Paris is saying. So, if I will only withdraw it if there's a second to say that we're withdrawing all support for all 7 Muslims. They cannot individually when this level is prepared to do so. And I don't want anything that at least support these projects, and whatever we did last meeting might indicate that we have done what we think is necessary to WCCP to do its job. There seems to be confusion about that. I'm not going to have any confusion about these projects. So, if the will of the board is that none of these deserve our support at this time, and that they need to come one by one to explain themselves to us and earn that support, that's fine. I personally think that 6 of the 7 have done so through the credibility of the town manager.
It's less than that.
But it's very hard for me being remote right now to read the room to know if that's where everyone else is. And unless I know that, I'm not withdrawing my motion, because I think at the very least, this one project, which does not have the support of town hall, there should be no confusion with it moving forward as to whether or not it is a viable project, one that has that necessary support, one that has been vetted and is fully supported by the select board. So if you think that we have not met our needs, then we should vote on this motion as I have made it, and then somebody should make another motion about all of the projects.
To make us.
You have a live motion. Are you willing to entertain a second one? Because I will try to wordsmith it live if you want.
Yeah, if you think that there are, if the board thinks that there are problems with the letter now, the motion that we passed last meeting, that now applies to all 7 projects, then you should vote in favor of what I have put forward now as a live motion on the table, and then somebody should make a subsequent motion to do the same to the other 6 projects.
Right. So essentially the motion,
Why are we doing this right now without the detail in front of us?
I think it's essentially, we need to rescind the letter overall and provide a letter for each of the projects as presented to us with an opinion based on the town manager's assessment and potentially any further questions that we have for the applicant.
It's like the whereas clause of a resolution, right? So it's like, given that the chair of the WCCP has told us we have not actually issued any valid care and control letters, the next step is the board directs the town manager to come back with staff vetted recommendations on all 7 projects. That, I think, is the motion. Fair? Christine?
Again, we just differ there again with just town manager approval.
Fair. Fair. Friendly amendment if you want to make it. But you have to let me make that motion because there's a live one on the table right now.
Okay, so we're going to vote on Bill's motion.
But you can also, Paris can withdraw a second. The motion dies. You can start this whole thing fresh rather than have a series of votes.
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay. Paris has withdrawn his second to the motion. Paris has made a new motion.
I think I made a new motion. I can try it again. I won't get it the same though.
And Mike has seconded it.
Given that the chair of the WCCP has informed the select board that the letters as issued are insufficient, the select board directs town manager to provide information and detail on all 7 projects for the discussion of a valid care and control letter. Care, custody, and control letter.
Seconded by me.
Okay, 2 seconds. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So let me just follow up. So I just want to be clear here. So, all right, because I know I want to make this simple. So I'll learn as I go here too. Right? So I will have a memo on all 7 projects with recommendations on each one. Do you want? And you have. I think you all have the applications. I'll send them again. Make sure you have the applications as they exist. Is that enough, or would you like me to have the applicants in any way here? Because that'll be another meeting after that.
I don't think that they're at the lobbying phase yet of us, right? That's much later if they get approved. I mean, I would reach out to Stuart at the coalition and just say, here's where we're at. I don't think that we need, answers from you besides literally each project. This is fine.
Well, I'm going to give you a consistency discussion because I think it's important that these projects are consistent with the plans that we're putting forward. So that will be, I'm just telling you, that's an element that I will include. Also the viability
the
too.
why would be helpful.
Yeah, the why. It's
or the why
we're not talking about a full page memo.
No, it's not necessary.
Or something that you may say, pros and cons, like we're already doing a flood mitigation project where you want to put your whatever. So
But that road's going to get torn up. We can't. We can't
so
paint it.
that kind of stuff.
I got you.
That would be the why.
Yeah. So I think that would be helpful, and understanding many of these are rec adjacent as well, of like what processes have gone through, what's connected to rec priorities, or, so, yes, I think that would be helpful. And then Christina, I think
This will be our new model.
we have also some time to figure out, like, how do we set that up for the applicants so that we don't catch them in this swirling trap.
Yes, I want to get as many applications as I can into the WCCP, but we need to figure out the right process for that. So, like I said, I'm constantly revising our operational model, and we'll continue to do so.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very
move
much.
that we make her appointment indefinite too?
No, you cannot. All right.
Not entertaining.
The motion's on the floor now, you have to vote on it.
Yeah, we might talk about it for 25 minutes first, so.
Pretty sure it's out of order, Bill.
Someone can withdraw that second right away.
All right, thanks, everybody. Christina.
Thanks, Christina.
Okay. We will move on. We will not take other items at twice the length of planned. To discuss retiree health insurance. This has been added to our agenda based on some items that came up towards the end of last week. Stephanie, can you just come on up because you have a connection to what's been going on in the school side of things.
And she's an RHIAC member now.
There we go.
That's my list of committees.
And then
Also on
Chris,
WCCP.
Chris sent us a memo. So Chris, do you want to give us an update from your memo, just a summary of what's going on?
Sure. It became clear at the end of last week that there was a whole lot of confusion amongst staff, and it was also having a larger impact on the town side than I genuinely had anticipated, and was beginning to cause operational challenges, particularly with at least one department head who might actually be considering this, and to have them leave on such short notice was problematic. Had a conversation with Dr. Hackett, which I'll let Stephanie talk more about the school side, but to make sure that I wasn't going down a bad rabbit hole. Understanding that the fundamental changes were going to affect on January 1 anyway, that's when the healthcare cycles work for retirees on a calendar year. For employees, it's a fiscal year, so the retirees wouldn't change until January 1 anyway. And the fact that we would very much like to have some notice. Recommended a shift for the retirement date to December 31st and a notice by, I recommended November 1. It could be December 1 as long as there's enough time. And I think that's the impression I'm getting, is that a later date might be, like a December 1 might be better. I don't know.
December 1 would be better. That's typically a time, as a courtesy, we ask our staff members to inform us of any retirements for the coming school year. And right now it's the summer, so the communication has gone out. Schools are on vacation. So December 1st, if you're willing to shift from November to December, would work for school operations.
That would be fine. And again, on our side, it would be people would need to physically retire by the 31st. And I think that worked on the school side too, because there are non-teachers that would be eligible for this as well.
That's right. All town employees.
Right.
So that includes non-union as well.
Right.
So I think this is a good pivot. Obviously spoke to Jennifer about it last week, and to Frank, Tim, and Stephanie about it the last couple of days. It's great it doesn't affect school operations. I think that was why August 1st was chosen, and I think this gets you what you need. And I think critically, it doesn't affect the savings, and it doesn't affect the select board's stated policy priority of getting into compliance with 9E. Can be fully preserved on the same time frame while taking a big burden off of municipal operations and not creating new operational issues for the schools. So I think it's a great idea. I'll make a motion whenever people want, but
We should discuss it a little bit first, I think.
Yeah, so I'm good with pushing it out. I think we have to push it out. I think, Ms. Wilson's points on the impact on departments and succession planning. So Chris, if you could just lay out, there's implementation considerations, right? And I am not going to ask Stephanie to speak for how the school committee will implement, but there's implementation considerations. So how is this next communication going to be different? And depending on department heads and senior staff, whether they're the department head or the deputy, what's the operational plan and impact if 18 people walk out the door, or 3 people in front of a department walk out the door. Like, how are you going to handle that?
Well, I need to know that that's possible first, right? So what I'm gonna do a memo from me. I think that would be more effective at this point, explaining what it is and why, and also how the finances work, because I think that's one of the other elements that Jennifer raised. But it's also, people don't pay their bills in percentages; they pay them in dollars. So, and the select board's action made retirees whole. The whole point of the tweak was, even though the percentage contribution changed for insurance, the net impact on retirees was neutral because of the increase in the Part B. At the same time, the board's like, we can't do this anymore. We got to change the Part B going forward, and this gives people plenty of time to make a decision. I'm not aware of a whole department getting wiped out, but there are at least a couple of places where there's small departments where one person in a small department can still have an impact. So I am going to personally talk to departments to find out and ask them to find out, to let me know if there's pending impacts. And then, so if we need to start planning, doing succession planning, I want to start. I'd rather people not tell me on December 1 if I can.
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand. Do you need to know November 30 to have December to plan? I mean, there's going to be sick leave buyback. There's payrolls that need to be run. People need to be made whole. So before we take a vote tonight to change a date certain, working back from the last day of someone's work, what do we need to know, and what's the time frame that you need to have it by?
Again, to accommodate the schools, I think 30 days should be enough, but I think that most people, that's the date for the official notice, because people always change their minds. I can say, yeah, I'm looking at it, and they come back to me and say, well, I thought about it, I'm not really going to do it. That's okay, but I'd like to know as soon as possible. So I already have some number of people have been identified, and the one senior manager, I need to have a conversation to find out what that process is. One of the realities I discovered is there are a lot of people who have been thinking about this and just hadn't put a date on it. And this is actually forcing conversation, which is actually a good thing. It's helping getting some clarity. At the same time, I need to know what that means now. So I'm going to, again, a memo from me, and also some FAQs so that the retiree element of this, because I think that's really important, so people on the retired employees already understand that what's not happening to them.
Yeah.
But I need to do a memo from me, and I think I need to do some direct conversations and have our HR team really, get into the field and talk to people. And I mean that starting now. I'm not talking about waiting until September. I mean getting that now.
Hey, Mike, and then.
Yeah, Mike, and then Paris, and then just before that, is the date for schools would be to notice by December 1? Or you would let them know on December 1 that they need to give you notification?
I think they have to give notice by December 1. It would be the same as town employees, right? We're extending the date from
Chris's
August.
proposal is notice by November 1st, retirement by December 31st. And I think what Frank and you had suggested was really more moving November to December 1st.
Correct.
And then still 12/31. Yeah. For actually being out the door. Notice by December 1st, being out the door by 12/30.
Nothing.
For municipal, but for school employees, it would be
both.
June 30th.
Correct.
Wait.
That's when they would retire. That's when the school year ends.
Right. No, but I don't think you can. I don't think you can carve it out. I think you have to have one policy that says that employees retire. That was the point was that I think you weren't anticipating a bunch of mid-year retirements.
Right. They wouldn't retire in January.
Retire, right. There's not going to actually have a wave of retirements on the school side. There's always a few, right? But even in August,
the school retirements would be planned for end of school year, end of fiscal year.
Correct. The superintendent didn't think that there would be an operational risk with 100 teachers walking out the door on January 1st.
So if you write a consistent policy that says you're grandfathered under the so right now the policy that the select board approved is that if you're here and you retire before August 1st, you get the old benefits, and if you retire after August 1st, you get the stepped down benefits. So the question is, if you slide that back to 12/31, the reason we had picked 8/1, because that's kind of a weird time for a municipal employee. Why would I retire on August 1st? The answer is because of the school side, which is 2/3 of our total employees, because we were concerned about the operational impact on the schools. I think what Frank's feedback and yours today, Tim's, was given that you haven't had a whole bunch of retirements now, right? that hasn't really happened yet. They're not expecting that if on 12, and please correct me, I don't want to
no.
but like that if you make that shift on 12/31, that suddenly you're going to have a bunch of mid-year retiring teachers. Right. They're not.
Are you anticipating that there will be some teachers who retire mid-year?
There's always
under
a couple.
The superintendent
Sorry,
did not.
I'm understanding different things from the two of you. So what is the date that a teacher who tells you they're retiring on December 1?
Well, they can retire at any time, but typically we ask for any retirees for the coming school year to tell us by December, right? So they say, I'm going to end my contract on June 30th, or whenever the last
It's
day
a
of school.
courtesy notification.
Right. They can always back out. They can always have a change of heart, and that does happen.
Or they could tell you in May.
They could tell us now. And
But what you're saying here is that you would ask for them to say by December 1, I will retire by June 30th. And for anybody who says that by December 1, then they will be eligible for the benefits when they retire.
The old tier of benefits and the new tier of benefits?
Old tier.
No, that's not. The way the municipal law is written is that it's one class. Like
it would be the same.
What they're saying isn't that they have a way of tweaking select board policy, right? Which is really the select board's authority to say when is the cutoff date. What they're saying is, and this is why we had reached out to them, was when we got the feedback that it was creating an issue on the municipal side late last week. We had said, well, the reason we had 8-1 is because we didn't want to mess up school operations. So the narrow question to them was, if it's a 12/31 retirement, that's a step down at 12/31, is that going to create a bunch of mid-year outflow for you? And I think the feedback from Frank was no, because they haven't even seen that this summer. They've seen virtually none this summer.
And the communication has gone out.
But you're theoretically saying these are our most experienced teachers. You have 20 kids in a class with our most experienced teacher, and then hopefully we will have filled a spot in January when you come back and you'll have a new teacher.
I think what they're saying
That's
is
the implication of this.
So
is that a correct understanding?
My conversation with the superintendent earlier today suggested that he doesn't see that as a risk.
But if we're not going to pick up the Part B premium, if they are not retired by December 31, then they need to understand that that's a risk of not actually wrapping up the employment at the end of the calendar year, which I understand it the same way as you, Anthea.
Yeah.
But so I think we're understanding it identically, right? Which is the
Yes.
current select board policy is you have to be out by August 1st, right? And so they haven't seen a deluge of people retiring,
Yep.
and that's for ahead of a whole academic year. And so I think what the superintendent is simply saying is he doesn't see that as motivating huge numbers of people to retire.
Because they haven't stepped forward before the beginning of a school year.
So mid-year, is there going to be this big group of people who pop out of the woodwork and say, we're going to leave, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I thought I was asking a simple question.
There are no simple questions here, Anthea.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I guess I think Michelle had mentioned before not being sure how we kind of take a vote at this point. I mean, I think we all agree on the policy direction of complying with 9E and reducing our exposure long term and being more consistent with what other comparable communities and most communities in Massachusetts are doing with their retiree health insurance at this point. I mean, I just wish we had actual information on impacts to the schools and to the town, because even if it is a few employees on the town side, a few teachers, there's still an impact, and there is suffering that happens with people that as happened with one of our town employees that said, I'm going on vacation. Do I need to pack up my desk before I walk out in order to protect, 20%, cost contribution from the town? One of the reasons why I came here, worked here. So, I mean, I would prefer, I think we all agree there's nobody that's trying to kind of kill this. I mean, I would prefer if we waited until after Frank and Chris kind of did some outreach and actually got us some information on what is the impact potential for eligible employees long term. Otherwise, we're just saying we hope it's not bad, right? And that is my concern. I mean, this is a major decision. The impact is significant, and there is a lack of outreach here. And I think I identified that as an issue from the very beginning of our conversation. That I think we do the outreach first, and then we make the decision after that. I don't care if we implement this a year from now. To be honest with you, we can vote the policy implementation a year from now. This is a long-term play for our financial viability. It is not, the short-term savings for this are not going to keep us from an override. But long-term, there certainly are going to accelerate our deficits if we don't do something. So that's my sense. I think we're all rowing in the same direction on the policy initiative, but I think having Chris go out and now trying to see where there's going to be holes in the dam, for town hall, and Frank doing it with teachers. I mean, I feel like it is. It's creating a little bit of chaos, and I don't think it's necessary because we all agree that it needs to be done. So that's my perspective there. I wish we could, find a way to hold off on this until we get the actual information from these conversations from our employees. So that's my sense.
Bill wants to say something.
Bill, go ahead. Stacy, come on up as well. So, Bill, if you want to chat, Stacy's walking to the table.
Oh, sure. I don't have questions for Stacy, but is there a schools representative there? It sounds like there might be.
Yes, Stephanie's here.
Stephanie Mignardi from School Committee? Great.
Yes, Stephanie Mignardi, Vice Chair of the School Committee. Stephanie for Schools is here.
Am I correct that as of right now, with the information being communicated about the health insurance plan benefits being scaled back, the school committee and the superintendent is confident that they have already received all notices of retirement. They've received either between now and August 1st, or if we extended this to December 1st, that number would not change.
Well, anyone can declare retirement at any time.
Stephanie, I'm remote. It's a yes or no question. Is the number going to change between August 1st and December 1st for the schools?
I mean,
To the best of your knowledge.
yes, it will change.
It will change?
Bill, it can change by one person. Come
It
on.
could change at any time, even without this policy, even without any discussion of OPEB.
Correct.
These conversations.
Stephanie, do you have a good faith basis to know that the number will change with an extension of the deadline to notice it? This is why this is a very important question. Because it sounds like the answer is yes on the town side, but we don't know on the school side.
Do you need to swear on like a?
I mean, we're
Winchester High School logo.
our
And Stephanie, if you don't know, that's a valid answer. But don't
okay, I don't know.
There you go. You have 3 options.
Okay, Bill, I think what I heard from, and Steph, please tell me if this is a fair
Yeah.
summary of our conversation with Frank this morning, that it's not pinned down to like, it's 17 today and it's going to be 17.0 till the end of the
Right.
year. It's that he doesn't see it going from 17 to 50 and creating a big operate, and 17 is an invented number. His projection was, I don't see this being a big operational impact.
Correct, because the school year starts on September 2nd. Generally, a teacher does not retire midstream in the middle of a school year, especially a seasoned teacher. They would want to leave in June. So typically they would tell us in December, the December prior. With this new policy that has been communicated out to staff, we would have anticipated those notifications to be brought in prior to the beginning of the school year, which is where we are right now.
Okay, so Stephanie, do you see no material difference between setting the deadline at August 1st versus December 1st on the school side?
Based on my conversation with the superintendent, no.
Yeah. So in terms of the impact this is going to have on the school side of our budget, there is no difference between extending this deadline in any material fashion. On the other side, we have the town. Now, the town, we have people who can retire in a much more flexible fashion because they don't have to worry about the school year starting to start. So the question is now, the same question now goes to Chris, as a manager. Chris, do you see a material difference in the number of people who might take advantage of these health insurance benefits if the opportunity to notice their retirement is extended to December 1st?
I think there is. And also, equally importantly, it will allow for a far more managed transition. Which is...
There's no expected material impact on the school side. There could have a beneficial material impact outside. Is it a fair creation of these answers?
Are you asking me to summarize that?
No. He was asking Chris.
Oh, do you want me to say that? I think the answer to your question is yes.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Okay, Paris, go ahead.
So we received a note from a longtime department head, and I think speaking for others broadly, right, on the municipal side, that it was a lot to expect that individual to wrap up their service by August 1st. And that's Mike's point, right? That August 1st had been designed largely for the benefit of the schools department to not sort of mess up their operations. So I think the board has the view that August 1st needs to be pushed back, right? And so I would just observe, unless the board's going to call a special meeting, this is the last meeting until July 27th. So if the board doesn't vote on extending that beyond August 1st tonight, August 1st stays effect until July 27th. So people are then really left unsure of what's going to happen, right? And that's very close. So I do think it's incumbent on the board. You can always keep debating it, but to at least give relief off of that August 1st deadline tonight. And so whether that's November 1st, as was in your memo, or December 1st, as was requested by the schools, if you want to split the difference, you could just do November 15th. It did not, to me, sound like Frank was like, it has to be December 1st. It was kind of like
a suggestion.
It'd be nice to have another month. But Chris, if that creates more complexity for you, it could be negotiated in that 1 month. But I think getting it off of August 1st, when the next scheduled meeting of this board is July 27th, I think is responsive to the feedback. It'll allow Mike time to collect more data from employee communication, right, around where employees' heads are. Because the board could always take another action, but at the very least, you've gotten us off August 1st. I think, you know, to me, keep it either November 1st or December 1st for taking effect January 1st, and that gives you time to communicate and plan for municipal retirements. And it sounds like schools is, as of now, not anticipating a big operational impact. And if they are, suddenly that becomes a reality. I don't think our school committee is shy. I think you come back and talk to the select board and tell them, right?
Happy to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's on the agenda because August 1st doesn't work, right? I mean,
Agreed.
So I mean,
So you have to take a
agreement
vote.
on that,
Yeah.
right? So that's, you know, we can do whatever we need to do to get rid of that, but I think we can just have a motion to move it forward until December, January, or whenever. As I said, I'd like at our next meeting to have some information before we make that decision.
Yeah, and Stacey, operationally.
Operationally, I just have a few comments. First of all, to find and gather more information about who's going to retire, I don't believe we can legally ask any employee if they plan to retire. They can do it at their will, anytime. So we may or may not get any information about any sort of statistics. Number two, if we're being told that they have to give notice by a certain date, but then they're going to retire a later date. What about those people that don't give the notice, but they retire at that later date? It seems like a very difficult thing to manage.
Split them.
To split them, because someone's going to retire, say they're going to retire in May for the June school year, but we don't know if they gave their notice, and it's just, we could probably get that information, but it's just another layer of why do we have to do it that way?
I think
Why
you're
can't we
right.
just do everyone by June 30th? It gives the teachers, it gives the retirees a little bit more time, because we're going to give notification of their 50-50 split with open enrollment, basically. Because I don't know, did the retirees even get a memo? Do they even know this is happening? The employees know it's happening. I don't know if the retirees do not know this is happening.
I mean, this is the conversation that we had meeting after meeting, is that we need to reach out to the retirees.
Yes,
first,
in
because-
executive session.
Was that an executive session?
Yes.
No.
So the committee,
And in public,
my
'cause we
office,
have a committee.
Open in public,
my
yeah.
office has been trying to pull together a meeting of the Retiree Health Insurance Advisory Committee, and there's still, I think,
You
half
have?
a dozen members. Jen has been working with the
I've
moderator.
not heard from Jen, and I'm a member.
Well, she's trying to get all the names of members. The problem is there's like at least half a dozen slots that are still unfilled. So even if they're not, so she was poking to see if those can get done. I think the moderator I think the school committee still had one more slot. There were a few things that were still out there. And the communication just have to happen. And based on everything that's gone forward, I want to make sure that's a lot tighter. That's happening on January 1 right now. And because we can't change mid-year, we either do it in January, don't.
You do it in January.
Yeah, you got to do it in January.
Open enrollment.
So,
You were saying
From a-
27, June 30th, 27.
Yeah.
And then you're delaying the whole thing a year.
Yeah,
If-
I think that's what we do.
if
I don't
we
agree.
were, sounds like there's a lot of stuff. If we were to say, if you retire by the end of the fiscal year,
By the end of the calendar year.
fiscal year,
Oh,
I said fiscal year.
okay.
If we say by the end of the fiscal year, the decision that we made for retirees for January 1, can that still go into place on January 1?
No.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Then the retirees won't be held harmless with the 50-50, the 20% change. Because
Sorry, walk us through that.
So the change is, right now you're 70-50. The change is to make it 50-50 plus an additional $200
for everyone and not,
for all current retirees, correct?
Yep.
Which is to go into effect January 1. Can that go into effect January 1 without?
I see what you're saying.
We
You can do
made that decision. That can go into effect January 1.
Yes.
Anybody who retires
Yeah, that works.
until June 30th
It's treated as an old retiree.
Is grandfathered.
is
Grandfathered.
grandfathered in
That
to
works.
what goes into effect on January 1.
That works.
Anyone who retires July 1st or later, after the end of the fiscal year.
Part B isn't
after
part of the
end
plan.
the school year,
You're in tier 2.
yeah.
they're in the second, they're in the other.
So what you're saying is you're implementing the split tier. You're implementing the split
it
tier on January
January
1st,
1.
and then the next 6 months of people go into the old tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Is that,
That's clean.
that is something that.
So January 1, would everybody get the $200?
Yes.
Or, so January 1, for the 6 months, January 1 to June 30th, they're going to get $200 instead of the 50%? Everyone, which is basically the current retirees anyway.
All of the current retirees,
Yeah.
right?
So
and
it's-
anyone,
yeah.
and anyone who retires, anybody who is retired before June 30th, between January 1
So
and June
on
30th.
or before June 30th? That's a
On or
very
before.
clear distinction. Okay,
On
on
or
or
before
before.
June.
Yes.
Before, okay, so it doesn't matter when they declare?
Well, but one of the
We're
one of the
getting rid of the whole
The declare
declaration
thing's
idea.
tricky.
Well,
Yeah.
wait, I know,
So
but
you're
the
getting rid of declare and just what active,
What you do.
actual retirement date.
Your actual
If
paperwork.
retirees
Got
in
it.
FY 20.
I like that, it's cleaner. I mean, not that it's my call.
Then are subject to this other piece. That changes our budget calculate, does
well,
it?
that's but see,
Not
that's one.
really,
Of,
not
that's,
really.
that's one of
Very
the problems.
minimally,
Minimum.
yeah.
You're talking about a 6 months worth of retirees. It's 25 people. It's a
It
tiny
just-
number.
Right. So it doesn't necessarily change our budget
We hope.
calculations.
Well,
It doesn't impact, should there be someone who says, well, I'm teaching kindergarten and I'm going to retire on December 31st, and like, you went from having someone with 25 years of experience to someone with
It would whatever residual operational risk there is to schools, it would reduce that further.
reduces the school's operational risk, and it
What does it do for succession planning for municipal?
Well, the challenge is that there's no succession planning, because I've had people retire and just walk out the door, and I can't
Which is
have
what
that,
this would
right?
do. on June 30th.
Well, I think it gives them more notice. Like right now, they can see, oh, geez, that's a new cutoff date. Right now, they only got July 2nd to now for August 1st. It's not a lot of time.
Sorry, what noticing, to Stacy's point, noticing is a favor employees
courtesy,
can choose
understood.
to do.
Yeah.
You can't require them to notice them.
You can require them if the vesting is triggered by the notice. If you don't give us a notice that you're
Oh, well,
retiring.
yeah, that's the trigger, but we can't say, when are you going to retire?
No, Stacey, I agree with you completely.
Yeah.
But one of the things is that we're building the budget by February, right? So if you don't know in advance, then I can't bake any of this. And part of the reality is that there's a operational savings. Right? If people are retiring at higher salaries or bringing them at lower salaries, we want to be able to capture some of that because we're trying to be fiscally smart, right? So that was the other side of this. So requiring some notice allows us. That's why you ask in the schools, right?
Right.
And now people can still do it.
It's just more friendly to give people time to think and plan.
Of course.
Our projected operational savings, with implementation at these certain times, I mean, what are we talking about in this first year for a decision that is going to be there till the end of time? I mean, we need to know that. I mean, that is like, are we talking $10,000, $10 million?
It's not $10 million. I'll tell you, it's not $10 million.
Your normal cost step down,
and it's not 10,000.
Your normal cost step down is 1.1 million, and that, to your point, Mike, can be achieved later. You'll get some saving. My guess is it's a low six figures number, a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think $200,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I'm just
I think from a perspective of having more to do on this, and it seems there's an understanding that we got to figure out exactly where we're going with it, that potentially a motion to postpone this deadline until further conversation.
I wouldn't.
Can we do that?
You just want to leave it open-ended? I would. You had a concrete proposal. That's how these things don't happen, Anthea. I would strongly recommend you move to the proposal you said.
Okay. Well, so if someone could make a motion to that effect, which is that.
Well, I don't know if Mike made a motion technically, but I don't know if that was a
I
motion.
move that we rescind the August 1st deadline, and we confirm that the changes will go in January 1 as communicated, as voted, and current retirees need to be noticed. And I think, so the third part of my motion is the select board should pick a date certain at our July 27th meeting, but we will no longer expect an August 1st deadline. Because I think to Chris's point, we want some notice, we just don't know when.
I'm going to second that, and a friendly amendment, Michelle. Can we also include some outreach to the retiree committee as well? That is our job, right? And this is not a select board committee. This is a town meeting committee that's established.
Bylaw.
It's a bylaw.
Bylaw, right?
Yeah.
Created by town meeting.
Well, first, initially, yeah.
So, so it's something that we should, at least have some respect
definitely.
for while we're going through this process. So, Michelle, that would be my friendly amendment to yours, even though it was.
And look, we worked very hard to get the RHIAC back to a quorum. I mean, the number of emails I sent Michelle, Chris, Stephanie, I think you volunteered yourself eventually, Hackett, to get Michelle Kingdon on. I mean, we got it to a quorum with a lot of difficulty over the past month.
For this purpose.
For this purpose, yes. Exactly. So I think that so Michelle, your proposal, which I think is good, is that it would take effect January 1st, 2027. And the date the select board can pick can either be before that, like December or November. It also could be after it, and you'd grandfather back to it.
Correct.
All right, I'm fine with that.
Can we, you said to a date certain?
Yep.
But can we say to a date certain within FY27?
Within when?
FY27, within this fiscal year?
Yeah.
Before.
I'd say with a date certain by Halloween. We should do it.
No. Sorry,
No,
you're
but I
saying
mean-
the date itself is within the fiscal year.
Oh, the date must be within the,
Future must
yes.
be within this.
So you're putting June 30th as the outer.
No.
Correct.
Okay. Is that a friendly amendment?
That's a good one. Yes, I'll take that.
Patty, you got it?
I'm just going to go watch it tomorrow.
Good idea, Patty.
I'm going to have to give you hazard pay for that, I think.
You want to try to restate it?
I write down the time when you've done it, so I have.
I will try to restate it.
Let's try it.
So the motion is to withdraw the August 1st deadline, communicate with retirees, and convene retiree outreach for the select board to, at a future meeting, pick a notice date that must occur before the end of fiscal 27, and that changes to current splits in subsidies will take effect January 1, 2027.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Hopefully, Patty.
It was not what Michelle said, so I don't even know what we're voting on right now.
Okay.
I need Anthea or Paris or Mike. You're the
Closer,
only one
sorry.
trying to do it clearly.
I think Anthea, this is your job.
Michelle, do you want to scooch over so he can hear you better today?
Sure.
Bill, the motion is that at our next meeting, I'm going to try to summarize, at our next meeting, we will have further information, enough such that we can take a vote and decide on a time sometime before June 30th for this to go into, oh my God. That was a
It
complicated.
takes effect January 1st, 2027.
So
the select board will pick a date of retiring. Yeah.
Yeah, the policy for retirees will go into effect January 1 as planned, with the 50-50 split and the $200. At our next meeting, we will discuss the specific retirement date where where the line of eligibility is, and that date we will decide on will be sometime before June 30th, 2027. The other pieces of the motion were about communication to retirees and to employees, and are not specific to the meat of the decision. Does that help?
I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me that we can split that up the way we did. That sounds like it should be these three motions separately, at the very least. Like, if what we voted on is going into effect on January 1st, 2027, that makes sense to me. If now we're saying it's going into effect January 2027, but there's a weird trail for another 6 months, that doesn't make sense.
Okay, so let me try this. So what we're saying is, Bill.
Okay. I'm sorry. You have to let people finish talking.
Okay.
If we're saying the notice date is going to change, I don't care about that. That's an internal management issue. And whatever the superintendent or the town manager wants, that's fine, because it's for them to organize. But this is like a Frankenstein motion of 7 different things being put together, and I don't even know which of them. Some of them sound really good, and I'm very happy to support them. But others, I don't understand whether even if they're even possible. So can you please break this out a little bit?
Okay, so I am happy if other people want to carve out the communications pieces and all that into separate motions. On the merits of the motion itself, we already had 2 dates. 8/1 you have to put in your paperwork, and 1/1 it takes effect. 8/1/26, 1/1/27. All we're doing is taking that, the 1/1/27 staying exactly where it is. All we're doing is taking that 8/1/26 and releasing that date. That could be moved to 11/1, to 12/1, or it could actually jump on the other side of 1/1 all the way out to 6/30/27. Okay, so that's all we're releasing is the constraint on when you put in your papers. January 1st is still there. Obviously, if we decided to move the date of you have to put in your papers to July 14th, which would be tomorrow, we will get slightly fewer retirees. If we push it all the way back to June 30th, we'll get slightly more. But it's not going to be a material difference on where you slide the retirement deadline, as long as you take effect January 1st. So I think that's the answer, Bill, to what you're saying, which is we already had 8/1/26, 1/1/27. We're keeping the 1/1/27. All we're doing is saying the select board is going to pick a date somewhere between November and December, all the way potentially out to June, for the retirement paperwork filing aspect. Michelle?
Is that a motion or just a restatement of what Michelle said?
That is not a motion. That is an explanation.
Okay.
I still don't,
Bill's not
I don't understand how you
communication
put this
pieces.
into place and people are backdating it to get things
Yes, so,
that it clicks on January.
sorry, I was going to say
1st.
Stacy says it's okay, but, so Bill,
You are
what it
backdating.
is, the question I asked to Stacy is, there is nothing that prohibits us from putting this into play on January 1 for all current retirees. And there is nothing that prohibits us changing what new retirees get on July 1st. So from an implementation and procedural side of the policy goes into effect January 1, that is just going to switch for anybody who is retired now and anybody who retires up until whatever date we decide, December 31st or whatever it is. The implementation of it for anybody who retires after it is implemented on January 1, whatever that date that we choose may be, is not there's not a policy or anything that prohibits us changing what their retirement benefits are on the date that they retire. It's just that that plan needs to go into place January 1st.
Yep.
Maybe we could pick
The only
months.
question is, I mean, three of you seem pretty focused on 6:30, or well, Mike and Anthea do. Michelle, you haven't really opined, and you left it open. If you guys have a consensus on that, you could just put 6:30 in, or you could leave it open and have the conversation next time. Whatever you guys prefer.
Do we want to just start breaking this up? I mean, if we're going to hold things up, I mean, we can just start with a motion
August 1st.
to rescind August 1st, right? And then we can just go from there. I think we at least have to do that.
Second.
No, but there's a live motion on the floor, though, right? So
It's fine. No one seconded it, so it's.
I seconded it.
Oh, you did.
Or then you can sell your motion. You can.
withdraw it. I'm comfortable, but I don't understand. I think it's a bad idea to split up all of the economic pieces. You want to put communication side. Michelle, do you want me? Can I try a new one? Are you good with that?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'll make a motion that that the select board proceeds with January 1st, 2027 with the plan design changes as discussed, 50% support on overall premiums and $200 of Part B, with the retirement cutoff date to be determined by the select board and rescinded off of the August 1st cutoff date, and with that date not to go beyond June 30th, 2027. Same motion you made.
And we included some language in there about speaking with the retirees.
I think those are going to be fresh motions. Yeah. I'm just doing the economic part.
Okay, second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So now I move, since those changes will be effective, that we convene the Retiree Health Insurance Advisory Committee, communicate to current employees and retirees, and give a report back to the select board on how that's going, what materials they have, so that we can socialize impacts and understanding. And I'm available to meet with the retiree health insurance whenever we can get there.
So I'll second that. And I think that's like human impact of what these changes mean for them. And I'm going to make a third motion, or somebody should, on operational impact, a report from town manager and superintendent on operational impact of people leaving.
So motion's made and seconded.
Yep.
Anthea?
Further discussion? Wait,
No,
so you
I don't
have a
think
motion? I don't know what's
It's the motion on outreach and communication.
Motion on outreach and communication.
has been seconded.
Yes.
I seconded it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Do we have any other motions that we need to tackle?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that the select board directs the town manager and requests the superintendent to provide a report to the select board with a copy to the school committee on operational impacts for both municipal and school operations of retirements.
Second.
Oh, well, I'm very confused about what that means. That's a pretty broad statement. Do you mean about this particular, like, I want to be able to give you something, I want to give you what you're asking for. I just want to understand.
So,
Guys, why don't you?
so for building the budget, understanding headcount going into the next fiscal year will be impactful and important to know from both financial as well as succession planning. So an update on operational impacts of retirements happening between January 1 and June 30. What are they? Are there better dates for communicating? Are there better dates for that retirement to happen? What will those operational impacts be? Succession planning, interviewing people. What should be data that we should consider if we want to set a notice deadline that's sooner than June 30? What would those data elements be that should inform that decision? That's what I'm trying to get at. Maybe that's what Paris is trying to get
exactly
at.
Well, it's more for you. So why don't I make an amendment to my own motion and I'd request the superintendent and town manager work with the RHIAC members, who are both here, on making sure the report is relevant to the select board and the school committee.
Yeah.
So basically, you and Frank work with Michelle and Stephanie to get them the report. That would be useful to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was a
For employees that declare.
And so you guys will work with Chris on that. Is that what we're talking about?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
And
sorry to volunteer the two of you.
And how many more hours? Where are we at now? Paris? How many you got left?
For like 9 hours left, maybe?
He has less than 12. I was hoping.
11 hours and 23 minutes.
We can still get some work out of you.
I'm on WCCP too, if you guys want to do another round on that.
That sounds like a great idea.
No further discussion. Ready to vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Bill? You want?
Yes, I'm a yes. I hope so.
Sorry, Bill, you're cutting out.
He said no.
That's my problem. I only hear half the motion.
Okay. Well, things get a little less. You have to. I'm gonna move 3 to the end, which is the lease, because you have to recuse yourself anyway. So then you can just drop off early. Okay.
So we're
Oh, sorry. Andrew's here.
All set? All set.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
get it while you can.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Bill, we're going to go on mute briefly. We're going to talk about the Kids Corner lease. Sorry, I was trying to...
I would still like to listen as a member of the public, but I will not participate in the discussion.
Okay, sounds good. I won't press any buttons. Okay. The lease, Kids Corner lease, up next. So we have in our packet, again, we have the amended lease for Kids Corner as I think was negotiated with the town manager and Kids Corner of to include the energy costs for 26-27 to make that total $54,276 for the annual rent. Are there anything else to add, Chris, or are there questions on?
The only supplement is that I've spoken with Andrew, and we're planning to talk more in the fall about the longer-term operational issues. So because at this point, this original structure only has one more extension, and the question is, what would something look like potentially longer term? To have a conversation with the board about.
So you come back to us in the fall.
And we're going to start a conversation in the fall, and I'll come back, and I've got any direction from the board too as to how to proceed on that. But we don't want to wait until the spring. We want to start having these conversations this fall. And I see nodding in the audience, so I'm
Okay. So, do you need a motion, or what do we want here?
Love a motion if there are
Okay.
no other.
I move that we approve the second amendment for a one-year lease to expire on June 30th, 2027 with Winchester After School Program Incorporated for the use of 263 Main Street, the Mystic School.
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion on the lease. I just would encourage Chris and Andrew to definitely engage in that conversation and understand. And I would also reiterate my concern from our meeting 2 weeks ago that facility, that building, and understanding the plan should impact not just what happens with Kids Corner, but rec and everything else. So I'm going to vote in favor of this motion, but I think there's more tied up to it than one more one-year lease. that's my only comment.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
And one abstention.
Recusal.
And one
Recusal.
recusal. One recusal. Right,
Yeah.
right, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so we will, let's do this. I'm just trying to give Bill, because his connection is not great. Can we look at quickly the new business? This is approving the proposed early voting schedule for the state primary. This was a memo from Mary Ellen, which has early voting dates beginning Saturday, August 22nd. The primary is on September 1st, and voter registration deadline is August 22nd. And in-person, and very non-in-person. Vote by mail is August 25th at 5 p.m. If you said something, Bill, we did not hear it at all.
So, do you need a motion here? Unless somebody has.
Yep. There's a motion in the packet to approve the proposal.
Patty can get it to you.
If
It's
you
on
have
page-
it, I'll read
it's
it.
the second to
Yeah.
last page. It's easy.
I know, it's. I move that the select board approve the town clerk's proposed early voting in-person schedule for the September 1st, 2026 state primary in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 54, Section 25B, B3.
Second. Sorry, I was asleep there for a minute.
Any discussion?
Wake up, we get this.
Okay. All those in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye, jeez.
All right. Hey, Bill, update on, I'm going to do town manager's form, and then I'm going to go to Michelle. I'm going to ask Michelle to sit, she can sit over here so you can hear better, but also if you want to just send any additional comments afterwards, then I'll just get all the procedural out of the way for you. So, Patty, you received town manager evaluations from
Yes,
all of
thank you
us?
everybody for sending them to me. I've already started inputting the data, and hopefully I'll have everything sent out to you by Monday next week.
Great. Okay. So then, Bill, if I read correctly on the form, we will have this and have at our next meeting the discussion. Meeting number 4, where we present the results of the review to the town manager in a public meeting, identify any goals to be considered in the subsequent review. Town manager will sign the review, which will be placed in their file, and as we have in this review specifically, we'll discuss extending the contract as stated in the review through December 31st, 2027, and potentially also discuss additional contract negotiations outside of that. Anything, Bill, to add to that?
Nothing to add, that was correct. Next meeting is the review.
All right.
So can I just ask a process question? So I did my form. We have Chris's goals. We have Chris's view of how well he implemented those goals.
Mm-hmm.
There's also for us to put new goals for the manager. When do we envision the board doing that work? So there's, at the very end, how do they do in the goals we have, which we had, thank you for the updates, met, partially met, blah, blah, blah. Then, what goals would you put? When do we have a forum to come up with those next goals?
Next meeting.
Well, we started that process, right? Right, Locke a little bit talking, I mean, so it's just
Those
kind
are our goals?
Yep, right, but I mean, the next, I think we said the next phase
So
of
you
that.
think Patty would give us a
Yep.
consensus of goals from everyone's forms then?
Or
I'm just trying to understand how
summarization.
they
I think the biggest challenge here is that we created these goals about 3 months ago. So they were intended to be kind of for the year, right? They're,
Okay.
you know, and if you read through them, they're not. When we discussed it, right? They're not very short-term goals or sort of shorter-term goals. So we could at that meeting discuss at the next meeting we can discuss kind of how we're identifying goals, and I think in what Patty has should have any.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is maybe we want to separate, there's the review, and then there's a goal meeting, that's a meeting or two later, where there's an agreement that they're met, we can strike them off, and there's agreement that we want to tweak some, but I'm not sure we should try to do it all in the same meeting. That's all I was trying to say.
No, I agree.
I would say, given the time frame in which the goals were developed and are being looked at, that certainly this review is a little bit different. In the form that we have in front of us, it says, in discussing the results, we'll identify goals to be considered in the subsequent annual review. So we could also discuss some goals to be considered and then get to the point of refining and updating those goals down a little ways down the road, just based on the timing of what was developed.
I also want to start getting back to you at the next meeting, some staff-generated objectives under the select board goals to start potentially implementing those. That's the next step on my end. Yeah, so I want to start giving you those at the next meeting.
Okay.
And some of those will be my goals, and and staff goals in general, and some of them will be your goals as a board. And then you'll spend on, and again, I agree, Michelle, I think going through what the board established in March, which are just 4 months into, looking at those and say, okay, these are good, now we need to do these. I think that's a good thing too for, I don't know, August-ish, September-ish.
Yeah, I think we intended it on having these conversations over the summer when it's kind of a little bit lighter, because once September 1st hits, we're in town meeting zone, and it just will not be possible. So, or productive.
It's lighter in the summer. I haven't.
You'll feel
Well,
it soon.
All right.
It's good to park. It's easy to park.
Actually, it just keeps getting heavier. So let's, given it's Paris's last meeting, and much as I'm sure he would like to spend the last 11 hours sitting with us, let's try to adjourn by 10. And I'll turn it to Michelle to
I'm not a constraint.
go through. We have the summary of responses. Anthony very helpfully was able to pull that together for us from the results, and Michelle has pulled together a summary of the listening sessions, the 2 in person and 1 virtual. So Michelle, if you want to give us just a really quick overview, and then if we have questions for you.
Sure. So high level, we had about 40 people show up over 3 nights. It was great. Anthony King, thank you for that. Mike, you joined us as well. And Paris for the last one. The conversation was respectful and really free-flowing. A lot of good things that we need to sort of have as takeaways. The information, people mostly, they access the information. I think it was something in the survey. People wanted potentially some additional places for singles versus truth, distilled down, additional facts, but clearly people knew where to find the state of the town. They found the PowerPoint, they found those things to be helpful. So we have some maybe messaging to tune up, but no one said, don't share. They said share more, or maybe share more targeted. And the summary listening sessions kind of pulled off 7 bullets, compelling on yeses and 7 on nos. On the yeses, and I think this is true across the board, everyone values the schools, everyone values municipal services, even those who voted no. There's a desire to maintain town and school services. There's a concern, and everyone knows that layoffs are disruptive. We're seeing that effect now. And people understand sort of the structural deficits that we're in. Those were some of the reasons people felt strongly and supported that yes vote. On the other hand, on the no side, affordability came up. It came up in every listening session. I think it's in the survey results as well. And within the broader context of not just fixed incomes, just the broader context of the economy and rising costs for utilities and our water rates and everything else. There's a push for us and schools to get after efficiency improvements, to look at savings, to look at revenue. I think we can take up as a board at a later time, like what kinds of actions should we want Chris to do, perhaps with schools, finance director, where there are efficiencies across the board, concerned around unsustainable growth, and some folks very much tying future Morocco into this operating override, which They're not the same thing, but if people feel that they have to pick one, they might land on picking for the debt exclusion and not an operating override. So, question structures, my question 3, confusing. I think Anthea warned me that it would be. There's not a strong preference on tiers, but there was a strong preference on breaking out operating and capital. But the way we even describe as debt exclusion what's operating, even at the table, I don't need a PhD in town debt exclusion and Prop 2.5 to understand how to even answer the survey response or how to answer this meeting in our listening sessions. So I think more clarity around if it's a debt exclusion or it's operating capital, where will the money go? I think that was pretty clear. What exactly are we doing? And too many questions is too confusing. So there's some happy medium that the select board needs to land on before we go back out. General comments around awareness, communication to non-voters, communication to people who don't normally vote, and the last piece in the summary was, it was less about support for public services and municipal, it was more about trust, affordability, and confidence in the process. So I think we have some work to do on messaging. I think we have some things to hear about affordability, but I'm very grateful for everyone that came and showed up on Zoom or in person, and for everybody who took the time to do the survey. So I hope that was fast enough.
That's great. Any questions for Michelle?
No, thank you, Michelle, for putting this together. I think that even for some people that couldn't attend, I think that there was a lot of conversation around this, and I think that that's one of the objectives as well that was met. And this is very helpful to have the survey information here as well. So thank you.
I think this can be a tool
Very well done.
for us going forward, like being able to look at some of the feedback around, what people knew about, participated in, what kind of their drivers were, where they had questions or confusion.
I really liked, I really liked the deck that Arlington sent. You sent via Arlington. I hope everyone reads it. It's very crisp on, we are very clear on what our commitments are as a select board and school committee and finance committee. We don't use promotional language. We don't gloat. It's very I just really liked it. There's very well-crafted piece of municipal governance, and they made that, I think, everyone keeps asking Arlington, how do you keep passing these overrides? And they made it for that purpose. The model is great. Candidly, it has mostly the same limits ours does. Their plan was good, but it was more the way it all hangs together. And I think that deck did a great job summarizing it. And
We'll call that out as well in our
Yeah.
listening session.
The Arlington.
Arlington's deck specifically.
Yeah. But thank you for Michelle, Anthea, and I think it was just two of you. Is anybody else there? Anyone else who has? But thank you for doing it, and Mike. Okay, well, thank you to everyone, to Mike, and Patty and Anthea. I think it's good that you're doing it.
Bill, any comments?
I think I said this months ago. I'm most interested in the opinions of the people who aren't plugged in and who wouldn't know there was a survey or a listening session. I don't know how we get those opinions unless we go, barge down their doors. But this is still a helpful data point, and I think we should all look at the specific answers in the survey because, there definitely were questions about trustworthiness and transparency and some very specific examples of why we have it or why we don't. And we should look at those specific examples and call outs and address them head on.
Yeah, we do have voter records, so you can see who didn't vote if you want to go knock on their door and ask them some questions.
Not now.
Paris has 11 hours.
Yeah.
All right. That is the end of our business. Our next meeting is the 27th, as we've discussed many times.
Yeah, I'd like to maybe, if we could soon, I'd like to have a conversation about norms. Mainly, I just want to note, this is our third meeting in a row. We started at 7 o'clock with no executive session. And I'm not aware that we took a vote to start changing the start times of meetings. So someone reached out today expecting to come in for one of the committee interviews saying, I'll be there at 7:30. No, you'll be there at 7. I would like us to just have a nice conversation. If we're good with it, let's all agree we're good with it. But it feels like in my 3 years, we would only meet before 7:30 in an executive session or a joint meeting or a goal setting meeting. So if we're going to do it, let's agree to do it and let's all talk about it as a unit. I would just like that from
I think the conversation in general, in norms, not just that specific one, is probably overdue.
Paris, you can come back and facilitate it for us.
I'm going to decline that one, but I'm happy to spend time with Katie and Ian and Michelle and Stephanie on the model.
All right, well, would you like to make one final motion?
I will move to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you, WinCam. Thank you, Paris.